So first things off with this video, I want to do it a different way. So normally I talk about characters in a chronological way, which I kind of do all the time. But this time I want to talk about Makima in a way that's more interesting. So I'm going to talk about everything in her history, like from like chronologically, but I'm not going to talk about the story chronologically, if you get what I'm saying. Like I'm going to talk about it chronologically, but I'm not. Listen to what I'm saying. So I'm going to explain everything about Makima from the very beginning of the story, not from like chapter 1. I mean her beginning of her story, and work our way to the end of the story and basically explain everything in detail. So me doing this is obviously gonna be big spoilers for all of Chainsaw Man. So if you haven't watched Chainsaw Man, read Chainsaw Man, and you don't want to get spoiled, please click off this video, come back later when you finish, or finish part 1 so you can check this out. But I want to talk about everything in her history, starting from our history of Makima, because I feel like it really enhances everything we see about her. Because a lot of the stuff I noticed about Makima is stuff that I didn't realize until I reread part 1, where I was really noticing a lot of the things that she was doing to put her plan into motion, and a lot of messed up things she did to accomplish her goals. And so I'm gonna do it that way so that I can really explain her goals in detail. So the first notice we actually have of Makima's history is her past. So back a long time ago, before Chainsaw Man actually happened, there was a battle that took place in hell between Poshita as Chainsaw Man versus the Four Horsemen, which is Famine, Yoru, Makima, and the Death Devil and the Nuclear Weapons Devil. And they had a big battle where all of them basically jumped. Poshita basically jumped Chainsaw Man and was managed to actually defeat him and made him like basically run off into the human world, escaping hell. And when this happened, the Four Horsemen tried to find Poshita for the longest time. Like even Makima has talked about it when she's talking to Kishibe, that she tried finding him, and even told Denji that they would tried finding Poshita for a long time, but they could never find him. And so they all decided to split up. Yoru decided to split up because Yoru was one of the only ones that got mainly affected in that battle and decided to go off on her own and stuff like that. While Famine also went off on her own and actually went to a school. And while Makima decided to come up with a different idea. Makima decided to become a member of the Devil Hunter Society and basically like tried to enact a new plan. And this is when, in my opinion, when she figures out that she wants to create a world without the other Four Horsemen, which is the Death Devil, the Hunger Devil, and the War Devil, and wants to actually kill them and kill a lot of other devils that she believes that is bad to the world, and actually wants to like find Poshita and basically take control of Poshita so that she can enact that plan, so that she can kill any devil in the world. Because if you don't know, Poshita has this power that no one else has, that his power is that if he eats a devil, he's able to actually erase that devil from like existence, like completely erase them. Because usually when devils die, they're usually able to get brought back to hell and then can be reincarnated back to earth. So basically devils are immortal, but Poshita is the only person that can truly kill a devil, and Makima knows that, and decided that when she went to the Devil Hunter Society that she wants to actually like find Poshita and basically like take control of him so that she can kill any devil she wants and rid the world of people that she believes are not contributing members to society or people that are going to hurt the world. And this is kind of crazy because that means that she was going to portray her Four Horsemen to basically like accomplish this goal, which was very, very interesting to me. But we're going to talk about that later on. But you're probably wondering, how can Makima be able to control Poshita? And like I said earlier, they fought in hell, and if you know about devils, you know that devils originate in hell, and Makima is the control devil. Makima is one of the Four Horsemen, like I said, and it's the control devil. And you're probably wondering what the control devil is. So the control devil, Makima, has the ability that we learn later on, that she has the ability to control any person that she believes is lesser than her, or any person that believes they are lesser than her. So for example, this ability works on not only devils but also humans. So, which is a crazy ability because a lot of times it's easier for devils to control humans, but a devil being able to control other devils is a really, really powerful ability. So if you don't know about Chainsaw Man, the main thing in Chainsaw Man, if y'all know, is contracts. A lot of humans make contracts with devils to gain their abilities and use their powers, and usually those contracts come with a risk. For example, if you make a contract with a fox devil, it might ask you that I'll give you some of my power if you give me one of your pinkies, basically one of your pinky toes or whatever. And when you make that contract, it's an equivalent kind of exchange. Sometimes the devil can be like really light on their contract, like maybe they'll just say, okay, I'll give you some of my power if you just let me live in your eye or something, or let me live inside you to see how you die or something like that. Like it could be a light contract like that, but then some contracts can be brutal where they take off many years off your life. And Makima has the ability to basically control devils and control other humans and basically use their abilities. Like she's able to fully like put commands in their head and make them do stuff for her that no one else can do. Like no one else can like put control like that into people, and she's able to control humans and devils like that and basically put them under control and make them use their abilities. So like if Makima wants to control Aki or whatever, and Aki has the future devil, Aki has the fox devil, Aki has other powers, she's able to fully use those powers because Aki can use those powers and she's controlling Aki. So it's a really powerful ability. And not only that, like I said, she could use it on other devils. So you can see like at the end of part 1, she uses it on hybrids, she uses it on other devils and stuff like that. So her ability to control is very powerful. Is one of the reasons why she's able to have so much power in part 1, how she's like everywhere in part 1. Like she's able to control animals, she's able to control different people. And like basically the main thing they talk about in part 1 is that how Makima has so much control because she's always listening. Like she's always listening to people because of her power to basically like control anything, humans, animals, devils. So she's always like onto something. She's able to control other devils. And in part 1, the main thing she's always doing is constantly like making plans from the shadows. And that's the main thing I'm going to talk about when I go into every single arc, is about all the things that she does in those arcs to control. But I'm basically just laying down the groundwork of her abilities. And even in throughout the entire show, before we get the whole plot twist, basically explaining that, oh, like Makima is the control devil, one thing they do is that Makima basically, like, whenever she's about to use her abilities in front of other people, she makes them blindfold. And like the whole like blindfolding thing is that like she's all like basically the whole government has instilled that like, oh, no one can know any contracts that Makima has made with people. And Makima's ability kind of makes it, like I said, look like a contract. So it makes sense why like no one would suspect that she's a devil, because like she could just say that I've made contracts with the rat devil, or I made contracts with the mouse devil, or like other devils and stuff like that. So like her ability is such a good like basically like cover for her to basically like for her to be able to blend in into society, because people didn't know that she was a devil. I'm assuming there's only like 3 people that knew. There was the president of the United States that knew, that we're going to talk about later on, that knew that Makima was the control devil. And then there was also the prime minister, because the prime minister made a contract with her where basically her contract was that any damage that Makima takes, or anytime Makima dies, she's able to put that like death into another person and she's able to come back to life. So she can never get sent to hell, because every time she would about to be like dead, basically like if she got shot in the head and died, her death would be passed on to another resident of Japan. And so she was basically able to be immortal. And so like at the beginning of Chainsaw Man, before anything happened, she was basically instilling her control into the world to basically prepare herself to basically hunt down Poshita and to basically accomplish her mission. So let's run back everything I said. So like I said, Makima was in hell, fought Poshita with her 4 horsemen and the nuclear weapons devil, and basically try to take control of Poshita, but Poshita ended up escaping. And her and the 4 horsemen went to Earth, and basically she realized that she wanted to create a new world on Earth filled with her idea of a good world. Her idea, which was killing the other 4 horsemen so that there wouldn't be death, hunger, and war on the world. And then also killing other devils that she believes are non-contributing members of society, and basically instilling her control over the world, creating the perfect world in her eyes. And so for her to accomplish this goal, she realized that she needs to be in a state of power to where she wouldn't be ever at a disadvantage. So she made a deal with the prime minister to basically where they made a contract to where whenever something bad happens to her, basically if she's gonna die, or she is about to like basically she's in a death state, that her death would be basically null and void, and her death will basically be put onto another member or another resident of Japan, which basically made her unkillable and immortal. And then she also like basically instilled her fear onto other people, like for example like the president of the United States, and we're assuming other countries, but basically she became like known across the world as just a dangerous weapon, like a person that could never be beaten, that can never be touched, and that she did all this so that one day she could find Pochita and then try to take control over Pochita so that she can like kill any devil she wants and create her perfect world. That's basically Makima's goals, and it's a very, very interesting goal, but that we don't really learn about until the end of part 1. But when you go back and you reread all of part 1, knowing her goals and knowing what her plan is, it makes everything she did make sense, but it makes it so sad because it's so, a lot of things she had to do were so evil, like, because I like her trying to make a new world filled with like not death, not hunger, not war. It makes sense in my head, like, okay, that makes sense. That's pretty nice of her to try and get rid of 3 of those things, because those are the 3 major things that hurt humans or make humans upset and stuff like that. But the way that she got there took a lot of bloodshed, murder, like manipulation, and like she messed up a lot of people's lives, and it's one I want to talk about. So we're going to go into every single arc of Chainsaw Man. We're going to explain everything she does in that arc. So we're not going to explain the whole heart arc in totality, because Makima's not the main character. What we're going to talk about is everything Makima did in those arcs and the things that she did to further her goals. So we're going to start off with chapter 1 / the first arc. So the first arc starts off with basically Makima finding Denji after the whole vampire devil. And this is the first time where like basically Makima's like introduced, like she's the second, like she's the 3rd main character ever introduced, because it's first Denji, then Pochita, and then Makima. And so Makima basically in this arc is like basically trying to like learn more about Denji and also like figure out things about him. Like whenever they pick Denji up, like I'm assuming that Makima did not know that Pochita was in this town or that Denji was gonna be there. She basically was there just for like a routine mission where they went to go kill the zombie devil, and then when they found out that there's a dude there with a chainsaw head that basically is like that just killed the zombie devil, and she notices, like at first I don't think she knows that it's Pochita inside of Denji or whatever. She just sees that like this is a hybrid, and of course she would know what hybrids are at this time, so she's just looking at Denji. Like you can even see panels where Makima is just looking at Denji's chest and even like tries to give him food and stuff like that. And at first sight, as soon as Denji's got giving like kind nature, like for example when Makima like asks like, oh, I'll get you some food and stuff like that, Denji immediately starts like being happy and starts saying like he's in love, because he's never had like kindness to him like this besides from Pochita. And there's even a moment where like Makima even gives Denji a task to go save a devil and stuff like that, and basically like explains to Denji that like he needs to do everything she says, and that if he doesn't, he will be killed because he is a devil. And that like it basically like if you're a hybrid, basically she's not explaining everything to him at this point, but basically instilling into him that like you do as I say, because if you don't, like basically you're a devil and you can be killed. And we even see a moment where Denji's like mad at her, kind of like thinking that like he thought Makima was nice, but all she's doing right now is basically like putting like chores on him, basically like treating him like a dog. And you're gonna see that like later on that Makima like constantly treats people like a dog. And so Denji has a whole little moment where like basically like Denji saves like a little kid from a devil, and then Makima basically like tells Denji, like tells him a good job and says that he's useful, and basically rewards him basically by like holding him and stuff like that. But then Makima starts asking questions, and this is when you start noticing, like at this point if you reread it, like she's still like basically trying to figure out things. Like at this point I don't think she knew what was going on, but she was like trying to come up with what's happening, like is like who is this Chainsaw Man hybrid type thing. And so she asks Denji straight up like, how did your body end up like that? And then Denji says, my pet devil became my heart. Unbelievable, right? And then Denji says, I don't want to believe it either, that Pochita died for me. And as soon as you see this, you see Makima's face in the bottom right corner of the page. And if you go back and reread it, bro, this is when Makima realized that like, okay, like, yo, this kid is Pochita. Like this kid is Chainsaw Man. Like him and Pochita have like somehow bonded and became a hybrid. And I think as soon as this happened, I think Makima starts coming up with a plan basically to basically like separate the two, because at this point when you're a hybrid you are like linked together, like you can't be broken apart. And so this is like when Makima starts coming up with a plan to basically figure out how to separate Denji and Pochita from each other so that she can get Pochita, because remember her goal is to get Pochita and basically to control Pochita and make Pochita do whatever she wants. So this is whenever like she starts to like instill her plan and starts like watching over Denji more and basically like coming up with a plan to get Poshita out of Denji. Even more conversations that they both have. For example, Makima like basically tells Denji that Makima has a really good nose, which if you know anything about devils, devils have very good noses and have very good senses. Like devils are able to like smell other devils and smell humans from like miles away. So she tells Denji that your best friend is still alive inside you, and not in a poetic sense. Your body has two senses, human and devil. And this is the first time where like Makima lets it slip that like she can smell like that she's a devil. Like if you don't know at this time that she's a devil because you wouldn't know when you're first reading it, this is when you first know like, okay, yeah, she's definitely a devil. And Fujimoto's like making signs that this is the first time like, yo, this is definitely not a human character, because no human can smell both devil. Like you can smell devils, like some devils have a stench, but the way that she's able to describe the smell and that Denji has two separate smells is definitely like crazy. Like that's not normal. And this is like showing like the reader and showing everyone that she knows that Poshita is inside. And this also gives me a question, because it makes me wonder at this point in time, because Poshita's able to talk to Denji and stuff like that, like Makima said, and like we learned, Poshita's not dead, and Poshita has fought in Makima before. And so I'm just wondering, like, why did Poshita never warned Denji? Like, never told Denji, like, yo, I fought her in hell a long time ago. She's not a good person. Unless at that time, Makima was, like, in a different form. And, like, she was, like, in a more devil form and not in this more human form. And basically, like, Poshita couldn't recognize her. That's what I'm thinking. But then again, she would have the same smell. But I'm guessing Poshita might not be able to smell her because, like, Poshita's inside Denji. I'm confused. It's one thing I've been thinking about. And if you have a question to that answer, let me know in the comment section down below. But it's definitely something that I was, like, thinking about when I was like, why didn't Poshita warn Denji about Makima? But anyway, let's just keep going, right? And so the rest of the arc is basically, like I said, basically, like, Denji getting introduced to the whole, like, public safety thing. Like, Makima takes Denji to the whole Devil Hunter HQ. Makima's the one that, like, introduces Denji to Aki. And we learn later on about what like Makima's plan was, but Makima was even planning from this point that the whole reason that she put Denji and Aki together was to basically make Aki the big brother figure in Denji's life, and to give like Denji his first real friend, which we're gonna learn about later on why she did that. But just keep this in mind for later, because this is the parts that were like people talk about how evil Makima is. This is one of the evil things that she did. So, like I said, Makima put like Denji and Aki in a group. They have some like banter and stuff like that. But there's even parts where like Makima basically explains to Aki where like, yo, Denji's a special case. Denji's like half devil, half human, and like he's special, like he can't leave the squad. And also like warns Aki like, yo, if Denji ever quits or disobeys orders, you can put him down as a devil. And this is the first time where Denji's like, what? Like I could be killed for no reason, which I'm surprised Denji said that, because Makima already kind of told him that like in chapter 1 a long time ago. So like I'm surprised he like was surprised. But like Makima basically like is instilling into both like Denji and Aki that like, yo, like if Denji doesn't listen, you can kill him. Like he's less than a person, he's not a normal person. And besides that, we don't really see Makima for a little bit, and basically like Makima is like used more as like a motivation for Denji. And we see Makima, the next time we see Makima is like whenever Denji's trying to figure out like a goal for himself. Like this is after like Denji and Aki basically like first fight their first devil together, and Denji gets introduced to devils and stuff like that. And this is when like Denji basically tries to come up with a goal in his head to basically motivate himself, because he realizes that everyone else has goals except him. For example, like Aki has a goal to kill the gun devil, and that's why he fights devils, while Denji doesn't really have a goal. He's just doing it because that's what he's tasked to do, and that if he doesn't do it, he'll die. And so he tries to come up with a goal, and basically his small scale goal is that like he's gonna like try to like touch some melons, as he says, like basically to like touch Makima's chest. And that's basically like his whole goal for a minute. And after that, Makima also introduces power to their little like group, their little trio group. And so now their little like division is just like Denji, Power, and Aki, where it's basically like Aki's a normal human and Power's the devil, and then Denji's the hybrid and stuff like that. And Makima also explains to Denji like about power and how fiends work. And basically like this whole arc, Makima is basically like the tutorial guy. Like imagine like you're in a video game and you join like you do the first mission. Makima is basically the whole like tutorial person that explains everything about the world. And that's basically her whole goal in this first arc. And we don't really see her that much often. The only time we see her after this is like when she's talking to the head of the Devil Hunter group. And The question is in my head is like, do the Devil Hunter group, the people like the spokesperson, the people I'm showing on screen right now, do they know that Makima is a devil? And I feel like they do, but I feel like they don't at the same time. I'm not absolutely sure. And I'm pretty sure at the end of part 1 they're dead. I'm pretty sure Makima kills them. But I have a feeling that like they know because they let a lot of things Makima do slide. And do they let them slide because she's a devil? And that would also be crazy if they do know, like I said, because that's a whole controversy. Because it, like, remember, like I said later on, whenever Makima does her powers or show off her powers, she makes everyone blindfold. And it's because the government has said that no one can see Makima's contracts, if you get what I'm saying. So does that mean they know that Makima's a devil and they're basically like keeping it a secret, which would make sense to me? Or is it that like they just think Makima's such a high level being that like no one else can like know her powers or know anything, and they're also fools to think that like Makima, her abilities are her contracts and not like her actual ability to control people? That's what I want to know. And I think it's actually the former, where it's like Makima's actually like they all know that Makima's a devil because even the United States president knows that Makima's the control devil. And I would assume that Japanese devil hunter like society is basically like keeping this big secret that Makima is a devil, and that basically they're working with a devil to basically kill a devil. So I'm assuming that they know at this point. And if you like think about that, it just makes the whole like situation with the Japanese government and the devil hunter like society, basically them trying to like not even like kill the gun devil forever, but just taking the gun devil's pieces so that they can have it for themselves, and then also working with Makima, which is a devil. It makes the whole government seem really, really corrupt. And like instead of like trying to destroy devils and just basically save the world from devils, they're basically trying to control the world with devils, and basically using Makima as like that vessel to control the world because she's the strongest one there. And it just shows like more of her goals kind of, and more of her like her thoughts, because they have the same thoughts, like they have the same goals. Like Makima's goal is to basically like control the world, like control the world and make the world in her image that she views as the right image, which is basically a world without death, hunger, and war, and a world without meaningless devils, devils that don't amount to anything, devils that can't help them, or devils that hurt humans. But to get that goal, she will do anything possible, even if it might seem inhumane or horrible. Not might seem inhumane, that is inhumane and stuff like that. So that's just something, that's just a small rant, a little ramble I want to go on, but it's just a thought. Let me know down below what you think. The next thing that happens, once again, we get to see Makima do more tutorial stuff, like explain to Aki how devils work, and that like the more feared the devil is, the stronger they are, and stuff like that. And the next time we see Makima is basically when she's basically trying to give Denji motivation. Like she sees that Denji is like sad or whatever when they're doing some paperwork, which is one thing you'll see a lot, is that whenever Denji's sad, you'll notice that Makima's oddly always there when he's sad to like basically do something, basically to like give him some motivation. And so Makima and Denji are basically doing the paperwork, and then Makima notices that Denji's like kind of depressed or not in a good mood, and tries to basically like motivate him, and asks like what's wrong. And Denji informs Makima that about how when I touched someone's chest for the first time, it turned out not to be a big deal. And then this is when Makima gets into like the whole like creepy grooming stuff, because if you remember, Makima's like way older than Denji, like way older, like a devil. Like she's like probably like hundreds of years old or something. Not probably that, probably not that much, because devils don't live super long unless you're like a devil that's never died, like the Darkness Devil or something. We don't know how old Makima is, but I know she's not Denji's age, because Denji's like what, 14 years old at this time, 14, 15, 16, something like that. I don't think he's 14, he's like 16 or something like that at this time. And then like basically like she does like some weird stuff where basically she's saying, it's like informing Denji like, Denji, I think naughty things feel better the more you know your partner. It basically like grabs Denji's hand and basically like does like a lot of like kind of like sexual shit. Like she like she like grabs Denji's hand and puts Denji's hand like on her chest, and basically like doing some weird stuff like this, like some weird stuff, right? And she's basically trying to give Denji some motivation, and she's basically like using her body as a way to get Denji to be motivated. Like, as Denji's like, you know, an adolescent boy, and like is trying to like use that to basically like get what she wants from him. And she doesn't really do this with other characters. Another time where she actually like uses her body in quotation marks is like at the end of part 1, but not really. Like it's more like a kind of like a weird scene. But like you notice that like she realizes probably in the beginning that Denji's like an adolescent boy that's motivated by like petty small things, for example like another person's body, like a woman's body and stuff like that. And so I think she realizes that and uses that to her advantage to basically like motivate Denji and to use Denji, which is, it's nasty. It's really nasty. It's grooming as hell. Because if I might make a Denji video one day, but it's just gonna take so long to do that. But if I ever do, the main thing I'm gonna talk about is how this man has been groomed like by like most of the women that he's met in his life, and it's so crazy. But that's just one thing that Makima is willing to do. Like Makima is willing to do anything to accomplish her goals, and this is just one of those scenes. And she also like explains in this moment like what she wants from Denji, and basically saying like, yo Denji, if you kill the gun devil or defeat the gun devil, I will give you anything. I will do anything you want. And basically the whole scene is supposed to incentivize Denji to basically do it for basically like for sex, basically. Like, because basically Makima is basically saying like, if you kill the gun devil, I will literally do anything you want. And basically, you know, like what Denji wants is like anything, like basically like a whole, like, you know, at this point Denji basically wants like the sexual contact. So like that's basically what Makima's like insinuating, like, yo, like if you kill the gun devil, I will literally do anything you want, anything. And this is like big motivation for Denji. And this is like the whole scene where basically Makima explains the whole gun devil, about the whole gun devil's history and stuff like that, and basically motivates Denji. Like this works and actually motivates Denji. And at this point in time, you're thinking about like, why does she like do that? Or basically like, why does she like, we know, well, I know why. Well, I know why she did this. Like at this point in time, we don't know yet. Like we just think that, oh, we're just trying to kill the gun devil and Denji doesn't want to do it. But if you reread everything, then at this time, like the whole point, it's crazy. The whole point of the gun devil, she really used the whole gun devil as a way just to get to Denji, basically to cause heartbreak. And I'm just wondering, like, we're gonna talk about it more, but like just remember this for later when we get to the gun devil part of the whole like video. But like just remember that. But like this whole part is just so crazy when you think about it later on. But we're gonna keep going, right? And so we don't see Makima for a bit after this. We only see her whenever they're at a bar, basically right after they kill the Eternity Devil. And basically this is the next time we see Makima. And Makima doesn't do a lot really. She's just there to basically like drink with everybody. And there's even like a moment where like everyone asks a question, like basically like Aki asks a question to Makima, basically like trying to get, like he's getting more suspicious about stuff, especially about the gun devil and even about Denji. And basically like tells Makima like, yo, the Eternity Devil was asking for Denji specifically. Makima, what do you know about Denji? And Makima would literally like basically like tell people that she knows stuff about something. Like she'll know stuff, like she knows the answer they want, but she won't tell them because it's government classified or whatever, or stuff like that. And will basically like do things like tell people like, oh, if you can outdrink me, I'll tell you. And you know, people can't outdrink Makima, and that's what happens in this scene. But like there's a lot of times in the show where like if they ask a question that she just doesn't want to answer, she doesn't have to, because she's just at such a higher level that like none of those people can just require her to say something. Like she doesn't have to, and she could just always like run back to the excuse that like it's government classified and the government said I can't tell this information to anybody. So that's smart. That's definitely like a smart thing she does throughout the entire show that basically allows her to never be like, to never expose anything that she wants to expose. And after this, the next time we see Makima is like a flashback where basically like it's Denji about to like basically like get like groomed by Himino, and basically like he's about to be like in a situation where something bad's gonna happen, and he's choosing to basically like if he wants to go through with it or not. And basically remembers Makima, like their interaction when after Himino threw up in Denji's mouth and stuff like that, and where Makima basically got Denji some medicine and stuff like that. And even like tells Denji like some advice that basically like, oh, it's okay that your first kiss was a vomit, because it doesn't matter about your first kiss, it matters about your first kiss that you have with a person you like and stuff like that. And how like basically tries to motivate Denji in this moment. But it's kind of like it's like a good moment, but it's not, because like if you think Makima's a good person, then this scene is kind of cute and good. But if you know about Makima's actual like goals and like how she really doesn't care about Denji specifically, just cares about Poshita and getting Poshita, this scene's like very sad but confusing, because we learn later, I can't wait till we get to the end of it. I just want to finish everything, like basically like talking about everything so I can go into more detail about her character. But she's so like wishy-washy, because in this scene you could argue that this is a nice scene, like an actually like nice scene, but like you can't really know if she's doing this out of the kindness of her heart in this particular scene. Like the whole thing, her relationship with Denji is not out of the goodness of her heart. It's for manipulation, control, and to get what she wants out of Denji. But in this scene, it really kind of seems like she was doing a good thing. But after that, we don't see Makima for a bit. We actually don't see Makima until the next arc, which is the Katana Man arc. And that's basically whenever the whole attack on Japan happens, and where Katana Man and the snake girl, the girl that has the snake devil, are basically trying to like steal Chainsaw Man's heart because they were enlisted by the gun devil to basically like do that. And we actually see Makima like in an assassination attempt. Like basically Makima's going to Kyoto. I think that's the right way to pronounce it. I hope I pronounced it right. Let me know in the comment section. And basically she's on her way there with a few of her like, you know, her members of her like group or whatever. And basically in this scene, this is whenever she gets assassinated and her like crewmate, like her like co-worker, also gets assassinated. So they actually get like both like killed by these guns, right? And this is the first time in the show where you really like start to think from the reader's perspective, like, oh, Makima's not normal, because right after she gets shot in the head, right, we all think Makima's dead. Like, I remember when I first saw this scene, I thought Makima was cooked, right? And then later on, after like we see the whole like Katana Man, like what's the word called, the Katana Man breach, and basically Katana Man attacking Denji, attacking the whole group with Himeno and Aki and Power and stuff like that, we cut back to Makima and we see like Makima's like dead on the floor, and all the people that shot Makima and the crew member are like chilling, like they're basically like, yo, like we did it, we killed Makima. And then we get this creepy ass panel. Like if you swipe, whenever you look at it, it's kind of creepy because you just see Makima just standing up, and like you even see like she creeps out the person that's like there, like basically one of the people that shot her. And like I'm like, me personally, I've seen a lot of creepy pictures of Makima on the internet, and this is one of those like pictures in the manga that really incentivize how creepy Makima can be. Because imagine you just shot a person and then you turn around and that person just standing up, like she was just standing up like fucking Batman. That shit was like super fucking creepy, right? And so she's standing up like just looking at this, like the person that shot her with these dead cold eyes. And then the next time we see her, it's whenever she comes out of like the car, right? Comes out of the, not the car, like when she comes out the train, right? The next time we see her is when she comes out the train, and she sees two of her subordinates that basically like rush over there because they heard that Makima got ambushed. And then Makima's like, yo, there was some gunfire and that there's bodies in there, have them cleaned up, and that our whole trip to Kyoto is canceled. And they're like, oh my god, Makima, are you okay? There's blood on your shirt. And then they ask her where you shot, and then Makima says, it's not mine, I wasn't hit. And then you cut back to like the whole scene in the train, and you see that all those people that attacked her have fucking like holes in them. And like later on we know more about Makima's ability and be able to like do things where she's able to like shoot people, kind of. It's just one of her abilities. They don't really explain like how she's able to do it, but she's able to just shoot people and like shoot holes in people. Like she calls it bang, and like it's basically like a big ass gun wound. And this is the first time we see it, and this is the first time we ever see Makima's whole ability to where like she can't be killed, like I said in the beginning of the video, where like basically the prime minister made that contract where any like death that happens to her basically gets reflected on another Japanese person, so she's immortal. This is the first time we get to see it. But like I said, this is the first time we ever get to see like Makima actually like use her powers. And like when you first read like Chainsaw Man, this is when you know like, okay, Makima's not normal. Like, yo, Makima's definitely like something, like she's got to be like a devil or something. Like this is the first time we really start thinking about that. But also like, or maybe you just think about like, maybe she just has a really weird ability. Like maybe she just has the ability to just like survive gunshot wounds. But like then you start wondering like, why would she lie about that? But we know why later on. We know why she lied in this moment, because like no one else is supposed to know that she's a devil and that she's basically like immortal, because she has that whole contract with the prime minister. Like at this time, no one's supposed to know that. And that means in this moment we even know that her subordinates do not know. And the next time we see Makima is actually like when Makima's trying to like basically like kill the people that are basically in the Katana Man ambush, basically, where like she does this like really weird thing. I forgot what the whole community calls it, but she basically does like this gravity thing, and she does it by basically like sacrificing a person. Like for example, like I said, the next time we see Makima is like when she's sacrificing these people to basically kill off people in the Katana Man ambush. And basically like she does these weird things with her hands, where basically she gets like a person that she's like basically like, and she basically like, the goal was, here's what happened, right? So she got a bunch of death row people, the people that were on death row that were gonna die, and she got them, right? And basically she would do these things with her hands, and then she'll tell the person on one of the death row people, like, yo, say this name, which is one of the names of the people in the Katana Man ambush. And whenever they said the name, basically she would do these things with her hand where basically it would kill both of them. Like, it would kill the death row person, and then it would also kill the person that was in the Katana Man ambush, where basically like they basically like it was like her ability basically allowed her to do like equivalent exchange, if you get what I'm saying. She was doing this. I'm assuming she was making mini contracts with these like humans, basically where she was able to kill any other person that she knew the name of. It was really weird, and she doesn't do this ever again, but it was definitely giving like Death Note, like kind of like how like she basically like needed the first and last name, and then they would say it, and then basically like she was able to kill the person that she was talking about, but like she needed the person's name, and the other person needed to like she needed to kill two people for this to work. It was a really weird ability. Like, she never does it again. It was really, really cool, but she never does it again. There was a moment where like the two subordinates, they explained to basically the reader why they're wearing blindfolds. They're like, why do we need blindfolds too? Makima's other subordinate says, Makima reports directly to the chief cabinet secretary. Ordinary devil hunters aren't authorized to know which devil she has contracts with. So once again, this goes into the whole thing where like people don't know that Makima's a devil, and that all of the Makima's abilities, they all think that they're like she's using contracts, or any ability she uses from another person, everyone thinks that it's just a contract with that devil, and not that she's actually like controlling the devil. And even the devil, if she's controlling the devil can never like will never let it slip that she's being controlled by Makima, which we'll talk more about later on. But this is the time we see her in this arc, and it's really, really cool. Like, we actually see like the whole like scene where basically she does that, and you also see like the terror in the people's like faces, because like whenever the first dude gets basically like combushed, basically like gravityized, we actually see like the fear that the other people like have. Like, we see the snake girl like in fear and like telling people like, yo, reconfirm her, Makima's dead, is Makima dead? And then people are like unable to tell her because they're also dead. And then Makima puts the fear of God into these people. Like, you see the snake girl start sweating. Like, this is the first time we ever seen the snake girl actually look nervous, and we see Katana Man even look nervous and saying about like that woman. And basically like their whole goal, like their whole plan hindered on the fact that they needed to have Makima dead, because they know that if Makima's not dead, there's no way they're gonna like be able to accomplish their goal. And so them learning that they weren't even able to kill Makima definitely like ruined everything for them. And it's crazy because their plan would have worked if Makima wasn't a devil. Like, if Makima was a normal person, their plan would have worked, because then she would have been dead in that scene when she got like ambushed, because she got completely ambushed. She didn't even know that that was gonna happen. Like, she got caught lacking in that scene, but it didn't even matter. But it's just crazy that like if Makima wasn't a devil, they would have like gotten away with it. They definitely would have won the whole battle or whatever. And so after Makima basically like kills everyone she can from there, because she doesn't know Katana Man or the Snake Devil's name, so like she can't like kill them or whatever, we basically like cut back to like Makima like after everything, like after Katana Man failed on kidnapping Denji, and after Kobani saves Denji and stuff like that, and after the whole like basically Katana Man attack. And there's even like a small moment where like this one person that survived the attack basically like puts in their like resignation to Makima. He asks Makima like, how much of this did you anticipate? Like, did you know that this was gonna happen? And basically like Makima basically tells like the person like, yo, I would tell you that, but I can't tell people, I can't tell like public safety like affairs with civilians, so have a good day. And like in this moment, you have to think about like, it leaves even more suspicion on Makima as the reader, because you're like, yo, like, did she know that was gonna happen? And I think it's kind of both ways. I think she knew there was gonna be an attack like that, but I didn't think she knew exactly that was going to happen. Like, exactly that, like, oh, the Katana Man's gonna come, the Snake Devil's gonna come, they're gonna jump us, I'm gonna get jumped in the train. Like, I don't think she knew that, because if she did, I think she would have did a better way of not getting caught, because when she came out the train, it did look very suspicious to other people, and could look suspicious at all. If people were being nosy, they definitely could have probably found out that like Makima's not human, or Makima's not a normal person, but they didn't. And I don't think Makima would ever put herself in a position like that to where it looks like she's about to get exposed earlier than when she wants to get exposed. So in this moment, I don't think she knew exactly what was gonna happen, but like she knew like that there was going to be an attack, but I don't think she knew exactly that was going to happen. There's even a more scary moment where after Makima says that to that person that like resigned, both of her subordinates like look at her and be like, yo, you know, it's not like we're joining your special division, right? We're only here for like training, and like after this we're going back to Kyoto. Basically like telling Makima like they're scared, like they're scared of her and they don't want to be under her. Basically like they're learning like how kind of cruel she can be. And so like after that, Makima said like, yo, that's a shame, because there are a lot of great restaurants in Tokyo and stuff like that. And it's just another one of those scenes where like show like how terrifying she is sometimes. Like in this scene, like she puts the fear of God into every character she talks to or interacts with. But that's the last thing for that. We don't see Makima for a bit after that. Like after this, Makima goes in and out between most of these arcs after the first arc, right? So after this, right, we actually get to see the next time we see Makima is when Makima actually introduces power and Denji to Kishibe and basically informs her that Kishibe is gonna be training them. And so after that, Makima like disappears again, and we see Makima whenever she's like interacting with like basically like these mobsters. Basically, Makima's here to basically talk to the mobsters and basically figure out any information about the Katana Man ambush, and basically figure out who's part of the group or how do they get into like Japan and who is the snake girl, and basically like is there to get information. And the mobsters being like really like hesitant, but gives her like some information about like, oh, they got $20,000 payment to the gun devil, and so they can get guns and ammo and stuff like that. And Makima's like, yo, I need the names of everybody in the organization. I need all the names. I need you to spill. And the mobster's like, nah, bro, I'm not gonna be giving you no names. Like, you don't know how the world works. Basically telling her like, yo, we're a necessary evil. These us mobsters are a necessary evil that belong in this world. And like, you like devil hunters, y'all keep humans safe from devils, but we keep people safe from people. And like, you devil hunter people are uneducated, y'all don't know nothing about that, y'all don't know nothing about the real world. And everyone just starts laughing, like the dude starts laughing, all the mobsters start laughing, and then Makima does the most savage thing I've ever seen a character do, where she just brings out a bag. It's just like a paper bag. And then like the people think it's money. They're like, oh, this is some money? Like, you can't give me some chump change for this information. And then Makima's like, this isn't money. And everyone's like looking like confused. And she's like, it's everyone's here's fathers, mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, brothers, sisters, lovers, and wives. And it's their eyes. And then the monster's like, their eyes? And then looks inside the bag and sees that it's their eyes. Like, it's all their eyes, like actual like human eyes. And it's not like, she's not joking, like these are all of their family members' eyes. I'm not assuming it's both of them, I'm assuming it's just one of their eyes. But I don't even know how Makima did that. I don't even want to think about how she did that. She probably like, it would be so messed up. Imagine Makima did this by Makima telling the person, like imagine like she controlled every single one of them and telling them like, yo, take out your own eye with a spoon or something. Like, that'd be crazy if she did that. If she did that, this whole scene is just evil. I was gonna say, if she did that, that's so like messed up. But oh my god. But Makima does say after this, she says, rest assured though, public safety has someone who could put these eyes back the way they were before, if you'd be so kind to cooperate with us. And it's so crazy that she was like, you know what? You know how I'm gonna get these people to cooperate? I'm not even gonna use my own powers. I'm not gonna use my own control devil powers to get what I want. I'm finna do this. I'm finna take all of their like family members' eyes as a bargaining tool to get what I want. That is so crazy, bro. Like, oh my god, that was so crazy. When I first read that, I was like, oh my god, this is the most terrifying character I've ever seen, bro. And there's a moment where like one of the mobsters like be like, oh my god, why would you do that? Try to like swing on Makima. And then Makima looks at him with just like this look. Like, it's just this look. And as soon as the dude sees it, he just backs off and starts sweating. And then his blood starts coming down from his nose. And then he just falls to the ground. It just starts like bleeding everywhere, just starts dying. And then she says to them, your necessary evil is just an excuse to justify your own crimes. Those excuses are unnecessary to society. The truly necessary evils are always kept collared and controlled by the state. This is basically Fujimoto giving hints about how Makima is a control devil, and how like she wants a world where there's like control and not like mobsters, and that everything is like in a control state where people can be happy in quotation marks. But this just another scene like talking about how Makima's goals are, like what her goals are, and like how she views the world and how she believes the world should be. And so the next time we see Makima is after the whole second Katana Man attack, where basically Denji beats Katana Man and then Aki beats like the snake girl and stuff like that. And Makima's basically explaining to the heads of the Devil Hunter Society about what happened with the snake girl and how like she basically like killed herself. Basically like her contract forced her to kill herself whenever she got caught by basically like Kobani and stuff like that. And basically talking about how like they seized like 1.4 kilos of gun devil flesh from the whole attack. And then like Makima's basically like talking to like the dude, and the dude's like, it's finally time. And I think in like they're talking about the whole like gun devil attack, where basically like they have more kilos of the gun devil, and like they really got to be prepared to have the whole gun devil attack. And after this, we see Makima interact with Denji a bit, where like it's power like this. So basically after the whole like fight with the Katana Man, basically like power has a bunch of like blood in her system, and basically like Makima takes power to basically like have a blood draining. And so Makima like puts like Beam, which is another like fiend, with like Denji for a little bit, basically like a shark fiend, and basically they work together for a bit. And Makima's trying to like basically like motivate Denji, because Denji's like kind of sad that like power has to like leave, and like that's like basically like his partner. And then Makima like basically tries to like make him happy by saying that they'll go on a date tomorrow. And so as soon as Denji hears that, he instantly gets happy, right? And then the next day we see like Denji and Makima go on this date, and Makima's like wearing like normal clothes and stuff like that, and they go movie hopping. So they watch like what, like 5 movies or whatever. And we only see it from Denji's perspective, right? We see Denji like looking at other people and saying like, oh my god, everyone's laughing, is it really that funny? And then Denji like looks back at Makima, and Makima's not laughing. So he's thinking like, wow, Makima's not laughing either, but she looks really, really cute though. And basically like the movie ends, and they have a little talk about the movie, saying like, yo, that was pretty boring, let's watch the next one. And then like Denji's like looking at everyone, and like they're all crying, but like him and Makima are not crying, they're just sitting there. And like they both talk after the movie saying like, yo, it was pretty boring. And they go like on 3 more movies, and they all say it was boring. And so they have like 1 more left, and Makimas have seen the movie before, and basically tells Denji like, yo, this movie will change your life. And then they start watching it, and then there's a scene, we don't know the context as a reader, but we see a scene, and then Denji starts crying. He's like, yo, this is actually like a really good scene. I don't want Makima to see me crying. And so he turns around to see what Makima is doing. And we see this, though, I think the only time we see Makima actually shred like emotion for real. Makima's like also crying. There's another hint from Fujimoto, because there's a scene later on where basically like Makima explains to Denji how he has a heart and stuff like that. And so Denji even like questions if he has a heart, because like he doesn't cry to like people's death. Like he talked about it right after Himeno died, that he wasn't like sad that she died really, and has like no emotion towards her death. He's like wondering like, yo, is it because I became a devil that like I have like less like emotion, like less emotion than like I normally would as a human, because I no longer have a human heart? And if you think that Denji doesn't have a normal human heart anymore because he's a devil and stuff like that, then this is another scene that hints that Makima is a devil. Because if Denji, a devil that doesn't have a human heart and doesn't have like emotions like that, is able to cry to this movie scene, and Makima is also able to cry to this movie scene, who is also a devil, it's just another hint kind of layered on by Fujimoto that Makima is not human. And I like this, like rereading it and just talking about it just makes me like be like, oh my god, like Makima, like this is another hint that Makima was just not human, and that Makima is a devil, because only Denji and Makima cried to this movie. They're the only ones in that movie theater too, and so they cried to this movie, and they can't cry to anything else. But both devils were able to like experience some type of sadness in this scene, and just instills that like Makima does have some emotions. Like she's not just like stern face all the time. Does have some emotions, and sometimes breaks character. But this is just like one of the only scenes in the show where she actually like does that. The next time we see Makima is after like basically like the whole like bomb girl arc basically is about to end, and Rize is about to leave to go back to Russia. But instead, Rize is like deciding to actually take up Denji's offer, because at the end of basically Denji and Rize's fight, Denji basically was willing to like run off together with Rize, like basically like run off and go to a different place, and basically like just have a future together, and was willing to like give up Makima for Rize. And so Rize actually decides to take up Denji on that offer, and goes back to the diner that they always hanged out at. And at this moment, we see a bunch of rats coming, and we see a bunch of rats form behind Rize, and it's Makima. And Makima's even talking about like, so in this arc, there's a big like message that they talk about how there's a country mouse and a city mouse, and talking about how the city mouse has a better life but is at more of a risk of dying, and there's a country mouse that is safe and is always going to be safe but has more of a boring life, and which one would you rather have? And Makima talks about how basically she says that I like the country mouse too, where basically she'd rather be a country mouse. And she tells Rize, my friend has this farm out in the country. Every fall I go visit and give them a little help with their work. Rats hide in the soil in the fields. They'll damage the crops. So before the ground can be covered by snow, you have to exterminate them. You do it by digging into the soil and having dogs catch and kill them. And I couldn't tell you why, but I find watching that to be very calming. And at this moment, Rize immediately starts grabbing like her like whole like bomb pulling thing. We already know at this moment that Bomb Girl knows about Makima because she even name drops Makima whenever Denji talks about Makima, like even being like, yo, Makima, that crazy girl, like that crazy woman and stuff like that. So she knows how dangerous Makima is, but like everyone else, I don't think she knows that she's a devil or whatever. And so, like, basically, Rize is about to, like, fight Makima, and basically, like, trying to prepare to fight Makima. And as soon as she's about to pull off her Bomb Girl, like, basically, like, chain, her hand gets immediately cut off by Makima. Like, he immediately, like, we don't even see Makima's hand goes up. She's literally just standing there. And then Makima explains to Rize, basically, like, that's why I like the country mouse. And we even see Rize try to attack Makima with a knife, but like ends up like not being able to damage Makima at all, and even gets impaled by Angel. Angel was also there, so Angel and Makima basically like got there to basically like gang up on Rize. And basically, I don't think Makima was gonna attack Rize whenever she was at the train. I think she was gonna let Rize go, but as soon as Rize went back to basically like talk to Denji and basically like meet up with Denji, that's when Makima had to step in. And we all know that Makima has eyes and ears everywhere because she can control rats and control birds and stuff like that, because she like, they say she has a contract with those devils, but like I think she's just able to control those animals and stuff like that because she's able to control things. And so I'm assuming that she heard the whole conversation that Denji had with Rize at the beach, and basically how like Rize should like come and they should run off together. And so when this happened, basically Makima like had to step in when Rize decided not to go back to Russia, and that's why I think she killed her in this moment. But it's very sad after this, and even like Makima asks like Angel like, yo, I told you to come with Aki. And then realizes like she even tells like Angel like, oh, you don't want Aki to come and kill a girl, you're so kind. And Angel even says, I'm an angel after all. And it's a really like sad moment because Angel even talks to the mouse a bit and says, tell me, is the city a good place? And basically they talk more about the whole like message of the basically the whole arc about like, would you rather be a city mouse or a country mouse? And it's very interesting that Makima said country mouse, because as a person like her that's always in control, that's always like dominant of every situation she's in and never really gets like ambushed like that, or like she's never in a disadvantaged situation, it's crazy that she chose the country mouse, because if she went to the city and she's always like in a point where she's always in a dangerous like position, she's never going to be in a dangerous position because she can't die. So like, is that why she said the country mouse? Because the country mouse lives a good life, but it's a boring life, but it's a calm life. You're never in danger of anything. And does she consider this city, what people normally consider the city life, a country life, because she's never like in danger and it gets kind of boring because she knows that everything she's about to do is going to happen, like all of her goals and shit is going to happen? And would she consider another place like hell like the city? So like for Makima, right, think about it this way, right? So for Makima, right, her being in this city, basically like in the Devil Hunter Club or whatever, and like with the Devil Hunter Society, and basically like doing this whole thing with Proshida, is basically her country mouse story, because she's kind of bored because she's not at any risk of anything and she's able to control anybody she wants and she's gonna accomplish her goal. But in hell, that would be considered a city type of environment, because one, there's bigger benefits because she could control more devils in hell and have more control and more power in hell. But she's at greater risk of dying because there are devils in hell that can give her like a challenge or even give her a fight. So I like that message a lot. I like that message a lot. It's definitely like some of like a kind of like a city mouse thing. Like it's a really, really good message. And I feel like in this moment, this is like another hint about showing that Makima's not just a normal person, and definitely not like a country person. Like basically like not like a basically explaining more and more like she's not a normal person. She's definitely a devil. And so after this, the next time we see Makima is actually the start of the next arc, which is basically the whole Santa Claus arc. And it's basically where Makima is like telling the whole group, like Aki, Denji, and Power, about how like, do you want to go on a trip to Enoshima? I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I hope so. And basically like they're about to go on this trip and it's about to be fun, but then right when they're talking about it, a bunch of like Devil Hunter like workers come in the room and they tell like Makima a secret, basically like underneath like everyone else, like Aki and Denji and Power can't hear what they're saying. So basically Makima talks about how they have a problem, about how now Chainsaw Man has been exposed to the world, like everyone can see it on the TV, which means that a bunch of like assassins are finna come for Denji. And there's even a moment where Denji's like happy that he's on TV, but then he turns around and sees like this dead look in Makima's eyes and the rest of the workers' eyes. And basically saying like, yeah, that bomb girl fulfilled her task. They basically exposed Denji to the world, which means a bunch of people, devils, like fiends are going to be coming to Japan to basically like find Denji and take him, because they all know about the Chainsaw Man devil. They all know about the Chainsaw Man heart and know how valuable the Chainsaw Man heart is to other devils and other people. And I think the reason that the Chainsaw Man's heart is viable, because one, if a devil eats another devil, right, they get stronger. Like, that's just a thing that happens in Chainsaw Man. Like, if a devil eats another devil, they will get stronger, right? And one thing that can happen to other devils is that if the devils somehow find a way to rip Poshita out of Denji's heart and eat it, they should get stronger. Or if they're super scared of Poshita, they could just like take Poshita in his naturalist form, like the one where it's basically like Denji's heart, just take his heart and basically like put it in a tube somewhere and hide it somewhere. And if that happens, then no devil will ever be able to die, because a lot of devils are afraid of Poshita because they're afraid of dying. And so there's one way that they can stop themselves from dying, is either from killing Poshita or getting rid of Poshita. So I think that's one reason why a lot of devils and fiends started heading over to Japan, is because like if they can't use Denji's heart, they can just sell it off to someone else that can, and they'll make like a ton of money. And so basically after this also, Denji, like basically Makima explains to Denji about how like a bunch of assassins are going to be coming here to kill him, and that like, yo, we're not going to be able to go on that trip for a while. And then after this, we don't see Makima for a little bit as well. Like, you're going to keep hearing me say that, because Makima like really just disappears a lot in the show. But the next time we see Makima is whenever she's talking to Kishibe about like how they're going to be able to defeat all the fiends and stuff like that, and how they got to be prepared for these dangerous like warriors like Quan Chi and Santa Claus and stuff like that. And like Kishibe's even wondering like, is Santa Claus gonna come? And Makima basically explains that like, yo, Santa Claus is definitely like coming here. And we also see like Makima basically like introduce a bunch of other people to Denji's group to basically like help Denji and basically like protect him, like Hirofumi, which if y'all know Hirofumi, we see Hirofumi more in like part 2 and stuff like that. He's introduced in this arc, so we get to see him and stuff like that. And the next time we see Makima is actually like whenever she is like right after the whole like Santa Claus arc is like really starting to ramp up, like more of the assassins are coming, and we actually see Makima like in an area like destroyed basically by like Santa Claus, where a bunch of like Santa Claus dolls are on the floor and stuff like that. And Makima basically like talking about how like, oh, like Santa Claus is here, and talking to Beam and the Spider Devil, basically talking to them and asks them to do something for her. She asks them to like, yo, make sure that Santa Claus is not like doing anything that we're not suspecting. And then she also said there will be a large number of deaths this time. Retrieve as many of our people's bodies as you can. And one thing I've had to say as well, that she can also control corpses, and it's easier for her to find dead bodies, because dead bodies, she can instantly control them. It doesn't have to go through a whole process of wondering if her ability is going to work, because remember, her ability only works on people that believe that they're lesser than her, or like they're scared of her and stuff like that. So her finding corpses, she could just instantly put them under her control, and that's why it's very important to her in this arc to get all those corpses. Another moment we get that doesn't really like, it doesn't show Makima, but it involves Makima, is whenever Kishibe and Quan Chi are basically like in a standstill, where like basically like they both have one of their basically their subordinates, like one of them's like Denji's like held hostage, and then the other one is one of Quan Chi's like ladies. And basically Kishibe tries to talk to Quan Chi about how like they need to work together, and basically telling Quan Chi like, yo, like Makima is listening. This is when we get the whole like Makima is listening panel, which is one of the most like iconic Chainsaw Man panels, and one of the scariest things. Like, I know people be like, oh, how is it scary? This is a really good scene if you just haven't read Chainsaw Man at that time. Like, you're not caught up on everything. Like, you don't know everything about Makima, and this is like basically like a shoehorn in where basically we learn that like, yeah, Makima's definitely somehow the bad guy. Like, there's no way that Kishibe would just say that if Makima wasn't a bad guy. Or you could take it as that Kishibe is the bad guy, and you take it as Makima's the good guy. And this is a moment where you're like, yo, is Kishibe a bad person for working with Quan Chi? Because Makima said that Quan Chi's not a good person. He's trying to work with, like, why is he trying to work with Quan Chi? And it's crazy because in this moment, Kishibe is like telling like Quan Chi, like they're having like a fake conversation where basically they're talking about how like Makima's listening, because, you know, Makima can control rats and birds and stuff like that. And so like Kishibe's like talking to Quan Chi, talk about like random stuff, talking about like things like I lost my fangs a long time ago, and then Quan Chi and Kishibe go on like this random rant while Kishibe is like writing to Quan Chi, saying things like, do what I say and I'll let you go and I can guarantee your safety, and then like saying like going to kill Makima would tell you everything if you'll need help. So at this moment, Kishibe finds out, like I'm pretty sure a little bit before this, that Makima is a devil. And for someone as crazy as Kishibe, that's always talked about how he's crazy and how like he's not like normal, him of all people should know if someone is a devil. So I was like very like surprised this moment, like, oh, that makes sense. Like, oh, Makima's got to be a devil or something, because Kishibe like is trying to fight her and know something, and Makima's not normal and stuff like that. And it's a very interesting like moment, because like you see like Quan Chi look at the paper and stuff like that, and you see like Quan Chi actually starts kind of working with Kishibe a bit, but instantly has to like stop working with Kishibe whenever she realizes that like she can like save one of her ladies, and like her ladies come first. And like even though she wants to stop Makima, she's not like willing to like sacrifice any of her ladies, or like basically like put Kishibe or anyone else above her ladies and stuff like that. And in this moment, I think Kishibe knows, like I said, Makima is a devil, but I don't think Quan Chi knows that Makima is a devil. And I think in this moment, if Quan Chi knew exactly that Makima was a devil and how like terrifying Makima's power is going to be and how like she needs to be stopped, then I think in this moment Quan Chi would have worked with Kishibe in this moment. But it's a very like cool moment, because this is like the first time as like the reader where we basically get like full-on confirmation that like Makima's not normal. Or you could take it, like I said, because I was talking to one of my coworkers like yesterday about it, and they haven't caught up, and I wasn't trying to spoil anything, but they saw the panel, and they took it as like Kishibe being evil, and like wondering like, yo, is Kishibe a bad person? Because he's trying to like basically like kill Makima, and I don't know why he's trying to kill Makima. Makima's a good person. So like this scene's really good, because it just like it gives the reader two options, where basically you have to think about it in a sense where you're like, is Kishibe the bad person, or is Makima the bad person? And it's a really, really good scene. And the next time we see Makima is actually like after everyone gets pulled into hell by basically like Santa Claus and stuff like that, and where everyone's basically like getting cooked by the darkness devil. Like everyone loses their hand, all the hybrids and Denji and everybody's like basically like cooked, like they can't do anything to basically like stop like the darkness devil. And basically like everyone is stuck in hell, and like they're gonna be like killed, and there's no way they can like be like saved or whatever. Like they can't save themselves. And basically like Makima starts like, we actually like cut back to Makima, and like remind you, the spider devil's also in hell, right? And Makima's like, damn, the darkness devil is bidding me to come and save them. And then like the spider devil's like, yo, Miss Makima, you don't have to come, like we got this. And then like basically Makima like tells the spider devil to like call her, and basically Makima gets like summoned like into hell to basically like save everyone. And I'm assuming at this moment Makima didn't expect like the darkness devil to do this. Like I'm assuming like she was fine with the results, because one, the darkness devil killed some of the fiends, like the violence fiend, and I think he killed the violence fiend, and then also killed like the stone devil, and then also like killed Beam. So like there's a lot of devils that like the darkness devil got rid of, and it kind of made it easier. Was it Beam? I don't think Beam was there. I might be mistaken. I'm not sure. But like, yeah, Beam was there. Yeah, Beam was there. Basically like got rid of them, or basically like defeated them and stuff like that. And it makes Makima's life easier, because like I said, she's able to control people easier if they're corpses and stuff like that. But anyway, like basically Makima gets summoned into hell to basically like fight the darkness devil. And this is like the first time where like, if you don't know that Makima's a devil now, you should know she's a devil, because ain't no way how is she able to compete with the darkness devil. Like they both point at each other, right? And basically they both take damage, right? The darkness devil actually like takes damage and actually bleeds, which is like we never seen like Primal Devil do that. This is the first Primal Devil we ever see, but like we saw how powerful he was, and basically being able to cook Quan Chi and Chainsaw Man like easy as hell. And basically like we see both of them like attack each other, and they both take damage. Like even Makima, this is the first time we actually see Makima also like take big damage, besides her getting shot in the head. Like we see like her hand gets like scrunched up, and basically like Makima and the darkness devil are basically like on even footing. And it looks like they're like kind of cooked. Like it looks like Makima's like really gonna have a battle on their hands. Basically Makima like goes up to like one of Santa Claus's dolls, like the main doll that got them sent to hell. And this is the first time we really get to see like actually get to see like Makima's like control power. Like no one else can really see it, but this is the first time we actually get to see it. And I'm assuming no one's paying attention to it, or doesn't have like any consciousness right now, so they don't see that Makima literally just went to like the doll's head, touched it, and told it to like send them back to Earth. So that's basically what happened, right? So Makima grabs the Santa Claus doll, like Santa Claus's ultimate doll, and then forces him to basically like make a contract with the Hell Devil and to send everybody back. And so that's what happens. And it's funny because like right when that happens, Makima also gets hit with like the Darkness Devil's sword too, but like they all manage to get out of hell. And Makima decides to like not fight Santa Claus at that time because she's like in a weaker state. So she actually gives her blood to Denji to fight Santa Claus. And like Makima's like even telling Denji to like save her, and that like the only way that you can defeat Santa Claus right now is whenever like she's in the light, because she made a contract with the darkness devil. So if she's in the dark, she's able to like regenerate and also is like way stronger. And throughout those arcs, Santa Claus constantly talks about Makima, even saying like, yo, that like the Santa Claus really wants to kill Makima. And I want to know, does Santa Claus know that Makima is a devil, or just wants to get rid of Makima because she knows how powerful Makima is? Like everyone that is a devil hunter knows how powerful Makima is, or has like a contract with a devil. Like, but most of them don't know that Makima is a devil. But I want to know in this moment, does Santa Claus know? And I don't think so. Basically, after the end of the Santa Claus fight, where basically like Denji like is able to incapacitate Santa Claus. Like basically after Santa Claus gets basically like mind nuked by Cosmo, which is like one of like Quan Chi's like ladies and stuff like that, we get a moment where basically like it's Kishibe and Hirofumi that walk up to Quan Chi, basically trying to like walk up to her and stuff like that, and Quan Chi's like ready to fight both of them, right? And then we see both of them start to put the blindfold on, and if you know, this is when you know Makima's about to do something. And so we see them both put the blindfold on, and we kind of see Quan Chi have this face that like she knows what's about to happen. And we see Makima walk up with a sword, right? And Quan Chi, as soon as she sees Makima, instantly surrenders, like drops the weapon, says, "We surrender, like you can cut off all my limbs if you think I'll run, just don't kill my ladies, and I'll do anything to like save their lives." And then Makima says, "A corpse is talking." It's like the meanest thing, bro. And then Quan Chi already knows in this moment that she and her ladies are dead, and instantly all their heads are cut off, like instantly. And basically like Makima like stops all three of them, right? And it's a sad moment. And this is like, if you ever thought Kishibe wasn't the bad guy in this moment, this is when you knew that Kishibe wasn't the bad guy. Because right after this, Hirofumi takes off their blindfold, because, you know, Makima said they could take off their blindfold now since she like she defeated them and stopped the issue. And then like Hirofumi's like, "Yo, are you gonna take off your blindfold?" And Kishibe is like, "I don't want to see anything." Like basically like saying like, "I don't want to see what Makima just did," because Makima just like basically like killed off like her, like I think it was like Quan Chi and Kishibe were like basically like master and Padawan and stuff like that. I think master and apprentice and stuff like that. So like he definitely didn't want to see that. And if Kishibe already knows that Makima is a devil, he basically like let Makima do that because he had no choice. Like I'm pretty sure Makima doesn't know that Kishibe knows that Makima is a devil, but like Kishibe has to basically like blend in and do what Makima says, because Makima would just destroy Kishibe in a fight. Like there's no way that Kishibe would be able to defeat Makima without a plan. So Makima basically like got to do whatever she wanted. Kishibe couldn't do shit. And so after this, the next time we see Makima is actually in the next arc, which is basically the Gun Devil arc, which is the second to final arc. We're almost done with this video. I know this video is pretty long right now, but we're almost there. We're getting closer and closer, right? And so basically during the Gun Devil arc, right, we see like Makima even try to bring Denji like on a trip, but we actually have a good moment where Denji like basically decides not to go on a solo trip with Makima, because like he wants to watch over Power, because Power is in a very bad state after the whole Darkness Devil attack and is having like PTSD and like panic attacks and stuff like that. And so like we actually see a moment where like I'm surprised Makima didn't like force Denji to go with her, but it's just a moment where like I think Makima's like coming up more for a plan, because I was thinking about like why wouldn't Makima just like force Denji to go with her on that trip. But I think Makima's like realizing like, yes, our plan needs to like be like, it's starting to like be like in like it's gonna happen, like yo, like Denji's really getting connected with those two, and it's about time like I rip them away from him, because obviously they're affecting him, and now if I rip them away from him, he will be truly broken, which I'll talk more about in the next section. But let's finish the Gun Devil part, right? And so we actually see Makima, the next time we see Makima is whenever Aki tells Kishibe that he wants to actually pull their division out of the group, which is like, you know, him, Denji, and Power. And Kishibe tells Makima that, and Makima basically like calls them all into a meeting, right? Where basically Makima is talking about how like, yo, it's cool, Aki, if you want to pull out of the mission, that's no problem, but Denji and Power cannot pull out of the mission. And tells Aki basically that Denji and Power are under her supervision, that the people above them tells them basically that she needs to have them carry out the operation and needs to show their abilities and stuff like that. And telling Aki like, it's fine if you don't want to join, but they need to join, like there's no choice. And then Aki's like really, really sad in this moment. We actually see like a really nervous face on him. And you see Makima with like this stern face, like basically like just showing like stern face, like no sympathy or whatever. And Denji and Power basically give reassurance to Aki, like, yo, we can do this, it's fine, we'll go. And Aki's like, you know what, since they're going, I'll go. And so Makima informs them that there's new information about the Gun Devil, and that she's actually going to tell them about new information, that everything she says like can't be disclosed out this room. And she tells them, as of now, the Gun Devil has already been defeated and confined. and she explains that when the Soviet army sighted the gun devil for the first time, it had already been taken down by someone else and was in an unconscious state. Currently, 20% of the gun devil's body is possessed by the America, 28% by the Soviets, 11% by China, and 4% by other countries. The remaining 37% is held by devils around the world as flesh pieces. And then Aki's like, no way, that's not possible. What about the guns that killed Himeno and the others? Which is like, remember in the Katana Man Arc, where basically they got jumped by those people that supposedly made contracts with the gun devil. Makima informed that those were made by man. And then Aki was like, but the manufacture of guns is strictly controlled in every country by international law. Then Makima was like, officially, yes, but in reality, in every country, the government circulates guns manufactured in secret. Though it seems the people trafficking the guns are claiming they obtained them in conscience of the gun devil to cover up the unseemly truth. So all the times before in the story, whenever we saw people with guns, they weren't actually like made by the gun devil, because the gun devil can summon guns and make guns out of midair. And so people, the lie was that they were making like contracts, like people were making contracts supposedly with the gun devil to get weapons, but instead they were actually like, they weren't making contracts with gun devil, they were actually being enlisted by other governments with guns to basically like go to Japan to hunt down Chainsaw Man, and also to like basically like get back pieces of the gun devil so that they can control more pieces of the gun devil. So basically Makima is explaining to them that every country has pieces of the gun devil, and the more pieces they have of the gun devil, the more that they're able to like basically like, the more the ability they're able to basically summon the gun devil to basically do what they want. Think of the gun devil basically like a nuclear bomb. Like this is basically like the most powerful weapon for any country in the world, and basically can destroy a whole country or a whole town in seconds. And so that's basically what Makima's explaining to like Aki, that the whole situation earlier in the show with the whole Katana Man, the whole gun devil thing, was actually like more of a plan enlisted by different countries to get more of Japan's gun devil remnants. And so when this happens, like Aki's just like super sad about it, because like he realizes that like the country doing this, basically like all these countries manufacturing guns in secret and trying to get more pieces of the gun devil, is basically going to make the gun devil stronger and stronger. And so like he learns for himself that their whole plan isn't to defeat the gun devil, it's to take more of the gun devils, like take more percentages of the gun devil from other countries into their own possession basically. And it's a sad truth. And basically like Makima is basically like telling them it's going to be a war. The war is just going to be about like who can have more control over the gun devil and who has more possession of the gun devil. And so after that, the next scene we see of Makima is basically after Aki is basically like venting to Angel, right? So he actually like goes to like Angel in the hospital, which is like Angel after the whole like Darkness Devil fight, basically tells Angel about how like he sees like a bad future and wants to like figure out what he can do to like save Denji and Power from this bad future. And so Angel recommends that they go talk to Makima about it, and saying that Makima could probably solve the issue. And so Angel and Aki actually end up going to a beach to meet up with Makima, and they start talking to Makima. And this is also the moment where we learn again that like Aki has feelings for Makima. And so Akima starts venting to Makima about how like he saw a vision of Denji and Power dying and wants to save them, and even starts venting to Makima about how like his brother's death was his fault with the whole gun devil thing, and that he wants the strength to change things, and asking Miss Makima like, yo, I'll make a contract with any devil, like please help me. After Makima hears that, she actually tells Aki something very, very like super sad. So this is the moment where basically we learn everything. So Makima tells Aki like, in that case, will you make a contract with me? If you give me all of you, I'll give you strength. And as soon as Aki hears that, he's just like, what? And even Angel's like very surprised as well, once like reinstating that Angel didn't know as well that Makima was a devil. And then Aki's like, what are you talking about? And then Makima says Aki's last name, says Hayakawa. This is an order. Say you'll make a contract, right? And as soon as this happens, Angel has like a flashback and like basically like realizes what he did. So a long time ago, Angel used to live like in a village with like a bunch of nice people like near the sea, and they all used to have fun and stuff like that. It was just a nice village where they were just all chilling, and he even had a significant other. And then one day Makima came onto the beach, and Angel's like asking like, who are you? And Makima's like, say, you're a very powerful person, can you show me your power? And then Angel's like, no way, I'm not gonna show you my power brings death. And then Makima tells Angel, show me your power, that's an order. And then it cuts to basically like nighttime. Makima says, you have a good power, and just basically shows Angel like what he did. And it shows like Angel holding the hand of a significant other and showing everyone in the village basically dead, and basically like he like sucked the life out of them. And when this happened, Makima basically like mind wiped like Angel's memory about this. And then when Angel comes back to reality and looks at Aki tells Makima that he'll make a contract. And then Angel starts screaming, like telling Makima, like, yo, Makima, like, yo, what's going on? And then like Makima's like, oh, Angel, you remember now? And basically Angel tries to like attack Makima and basically like gets put down by Makima easily. Like he literally like can't do anything to stop Makima. And then Makima even makes like Angel come under her control. And then she says, sorry, you two, I really had no other choice. Japan is full of spies more than any other nation in the world. The operation to take out the Gun Devil has already been exposed. It was rather meaningless even as a bluff. In the end, things have taken the course that would cause the greatest damage. That's unfortunate. And we cut to America, where basically it's the president talking about how like he basically figured out what Makima's plan was, because Makima just said like, yo, there's spies in Japan, and they figured out that we're basically going to try and take over the Gun Devil. We're going to go to all these countries and basically take their portion of the Gun Devil. And so the United States president basically says, it seems the time has come. If we don't get Makima now, the worst possible peace will descend upon humanity. It looks like the other nations have already given up. No, it's probably more accurate to say they accepted it. Fearing and strengthening Makima is nothing less than the history of humanity. Everything, even resistance, may be but a step on a predictable course, but the land of the free rests on my shoulders. I cannot simply surrender without so much as a whimper. My citizens, forgive my foolish decision. Gun Devil, I'll give you 1 year of the lifespans of the American people. In exchange, I want you to kill Makima. That is the control devil. This is basically like the whole scene. Basically, like it's exposed that Makima is the full-on control devil, and it's like the craziest scene in the entire show. And we're gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it. So let's go back, right? So the United States president basically figured out about the whole plan that Makima and the Japanese government have, where basically they're gonna go to all these countries with their hybrids like Denji, Power, and all their devil, and basically like ransack these countries for their portions of the Gun Devil to combine to theirs, to basically like more like possession of the Gun Devil, right? And so the United States president hears about that and basically like decides to like decides to enact his attack on Makima, and decides to basically like use the 1 year lifespan off of every single American to basically like kill Makima. And he even makes a line where he says, if we don't kill Makima now, the worst possible peace will descend upon humanity. So I'm assuming him and other leaders know what Makima's plan is. And Makima's plan, like I said, is to basically like control the world, get rid of all these other devils and stuff like that. But it would technically be the worst peace ever, because getting rid of a world where there's like no hunger, that's good. Like, you know, that sounds good. But and war and stuff like that. But like getting rid of the Death Devil and getting rid of a world without death, is that really the best thing for the world? Because think about it, people dying, you know, sucks and stuff like that. But like there is a thing about overpopulation, and if you can't kill all the humans, like if you can't, like if people don't die, there will be overpopulation, there will be less food, there will be less things. The good thing is that like I said, if Makima gets rid of the hunger devil, then there won't be hunger as well. But eventually there's gonna be no more space on this planet for people. And so getting rid of things like the hunger, the death devil, and the war devil, is it really a good thing? And I think everyone knows Makima's plan to basically like get rid of things she deems as not good for humanity. And I think this is why the president said, like, if Makima wins, basically the worst peace will descend upon humanity. Because technically there will be peace, but there wouldn't be like free will. Because one, Makima is going to be like kind of controlling everybody. She'll be making decisions about people's lives, because she will determine like if you can die or not, because she'll be killing the death devil. So like she'll determine like you can't die. So she will be having control over your life. And basically like it will be peace. There will be peace on the planet, but it'll be the worst peace, because there will be no free will and no control, like no free control of your own life. And I think that's what the president was saying in this scene. And so after this, we see the Gun Devil is basically like summoned to fight Makima, and basically like destroys a lot of areas. And this is like when we get to see Makima's like first time using like her real ability, where her ability to control people. And we even see her like basically like die. Like it even says like Makima's 29th recorded death. Like it informs us that like Makima has died 29 times up to this point in the story. And then we see like her head just instantly like heal, like I said, because you know she has that contract with the prime minister where any damage or any death, not damage, any death that happens to her gets reflected onto a random Japanese citizen as a disease or as death. And so basically Makima uses all the people she has under her control, which is her two subordinates that died a few arcs ago. Actually, not a few arcs ago, they died in the Santa Claus arc. We see her control over Angel, Aki, even the girl that even had the Snake Devil, and even the Spider Devil. And basically, like, she uses all of them to basically defeat the Gun Devil. And then after this, it like cuts away to basically Denji in power. And it's basically like Denji is getting a phone call, and it's from Makima. And Makima says, Denji, have you seen the news? And Denji's like, no, I just woke up. And then Makima's like, I'll give you the abridged version. The Gun Devil appeared without warning. We failed to defeat it. It took over a dead body and got away. That gun fiend is now ringing your doorbell. And so in this scene, oh my god, this is Makima's doing. Like, this whole thing is Makima's doing, right? And so Makima's basically informing Denji and Power about how there's a gun fiend at y'all door, and like, don't think about anything while you fight, and make sure like you stop them. Like, only you can do it and stuff like that. And so Denji's like, oh, okay. Like, he's just very surprised because he just woke up, and basically like she's like basically telling him like there's a gun fiend at your door. And so Denji goes to the door, right, and opens it, and it's Aki as the gun fiend, which, if you know about fiends, that means that a fiend is a devil that has taken over a human corpse. This means that Aki has died, and basically like it's Makima's doing. Like, basically Makima forced Aki to become the gun fiend, and basically sent the gun fiend to go fight Denji and Power and stuff like that. And so I even make a whole video talking about it in more detail. I'm not gonna go as much detail added into this video. I basically made another video talking about this scene in more detail, but which I probably have like on the screen right now. But like, basically Makima sent Aki to go fight Denji as the gun fiend, right? And so after this, right, Denji and Power basically like are trying to heal from the whole thing that happened with Aki, and even like look at Aki's will, and Aki left like money for them and a place for them. And basically like this is when Denji's like at his lowest, because he just killed basically his best friend to save everyone in the town, basically because Aki was destroying everything, and Denji felt like in that moment the only thing he could have done was kill Aki. And that was the right decision, because like Aki was a fiend, and like he was dead at that time. Like, there was nothing that Denji could have done to basically like save Aki. If Aki was like a hybrid, then yeah, but if you're a hybrid, you have more control of your body than the devil. So like, if he was a hybrid, he would have been like in control and like wouldn't be going crazy. So in that moment, there was nothing Denji could have done, but he feels like he killed Aki and feels like it was all his fault. Like, he just killed his best friend. And it's crazy because even Denji can't eat food anymore while he's like trying to heal from him killing Aki and stuff like that. And right when he's at his lowest, he starts to think about like Poshita and calling for Poshida's name. And as soon as he does that, he looks up and sees that Makima is there. Like, Makima's there to like basically like look after Denji and asking him what's wrong, and basically talking to him and basically saying like, yo, you're not feeling good, you're cold, like, come to my apartment, let's go eat some tea and stuff like that. I meant drink some tea. I don't know why I said eat some tea. And so they go to Makima's house, right? And basically as soon as like they go to Makima's house, Makima and Denji instantly get bombarded by Makima's dogs. And she has like a lot of dogs. I think it's like 10 of them or something like that. And so they're all just chilling, having fun, just getting licked by dogs. And basically Makima's basically trying to make Denji feel better. And then Denji's even like enjoying himself and saying like, this is the best place in the world. Like, whenever I'm with Makima, I'm always having fun. And even like thanks Makima for like making him feel better, and that because he's with her, they've like, he feels so much better. And Makima's like saying like, you've been through so much, you did a good job surviving, you're a very good boy, Denji. And that's just all Denji wants. Denji just wants a family and friends, just wants to be appreciated, and just wants like to be happy, right? And so Denji starts crying and saying like, oh my god, like, this is the best, I'm so happy. And then Makima tells Denji like, Denji, you saved me too, so do you remember our promise? And then Denji completely forgot about their promise. Then Makima says, tell me the wish you want me to grant. As soon as Denji like hears that, he has like an existential crisis in his head where he thinks about the whole world and says, a dog, I want to be your dog. And then Makima's like surprised, like, what, you want to be my dog? I don't think she's actually surprised here, but she's just saying that. She's like, what, you want to be my dog? And Makima's like, what do you mean by that? And then Denji's like, I don't want to think for myself anymore. I used to only have to think about what I had to do to not die. Now there's like 10,000 different things I gotta consider, and it's legit, I mean, really exhausting. I killed Aki because it looked like maybe 100 people were going to die if I didn't stop him. But once I calmed down and thought about it really, really hard, I realized maybe there was a better way. Maybe Aki only had to die because I'm stupid. If I never become friends with Aki in the first place, I never would have felt this crappy. There's no point in thinking about stuff like this. It's all I can think about from the moment I wake up to the moment I fall asleep at night. And tells like, she like basically tells Makima like, you're smarter than me, right? So if I just let you think for me, then I'll feel better. So Makima's like, you sure? Because my dogs have to obey me with complete obedience. And Denji's like basically like co-signs it like, yeah, that's fine with me. And then Makima basically like plays with Denji a bit, basically like does like dog shit, like paw roll over and stuff like that. And Denji's thinking like this is like good, like this is the right answer and stuff like that. And then they hear a knock at the door. And then Denji's like, what's that knock for? And Makima's like, oh, I called power over. And Denji's like, why? And then like Makima's like, come on, bro, you don't have to think. You're a dog. You don't have to think about stuff like that. And so Denji and Makima start walking up to the door. And then like Makima tells Denji like, you're gonna open the door. And then Denji's like, why? And then Makima's like, because I'm going to kill her. And then Denji like is like, what? And they start walking to the door, right? And it's like in slow motion for Denji. Like it's like an existential slowness. Like they're just walking to the door. And then Denji's like, what, Makima? Like, what'd you say? Are you joking? And like is looking at Makima. Makima looks at him at a stern face and says, go on, Denji. Go open the door. Open the door right now. And so Denji's like nervous. Like he's like sweating and stuff like that. And then Makima's like, you don't have to think about anything. Just open the door, right? And so Denji is like thinking about it. He's like, open the door. Like maybe Makima's joking, right? I mean, Power, like maybe Power won't be there. And if she is there, maybe it's just all a prank. Because tomorrow's my birthday. Maybe Power came in with a cake and maybe Makima's just playing with me. And so Power does come to the door with a cake. And Denji's like, whoa, like Power's actually here with a cake. And then right when that happens, Makima comes in and just kills Power. Just like bang, just shoots Power. And just like, she's just dead on the floor right in front of Denji. And Denji like looks at Makima, looks at Power on the floor, looks back at Makima, and just sees Makima with like this stern face. Just like, your hands are cold, bro. Do you want to go back inside? And Denji just like in shock. Like, oh my god. Did Makima just kill Power? And so Makima closes the door. They walk back inside and just sit on the couch. And like Denji just looks dead inside. And then Denji's just like, am I dreaming? And then like he's asking his Makima like, yo, am I dreaming? Like what's going on? And then Makima like lays on like his like lap. And then Makima just starts busting ass laughing. Like I never seen, like this is the second time we ever see her express emotion like this. The first time was when she cried at that movie. This is the second time we actually see her like laughing her ass off, right? And this is like really evil because she's laughing her ass off because her whole goal just came to fruition. Everything that this video has led up to, everything this arc has led up to, everything this show has led up to has basically come true, and she has won, right? This is her plan. She has won. Her whole plan has worked out, and that's why she's busting out laughing. And she says, Denji, take off your shirt. And then Denji takes off his shirt, right? Because he's absolutely terrified of her. And then Makima explains her plan. And she grabs Denji's basically like rever, basically. And says, in exchange for you living a normal life, Poshita gave you a heart. What you made with Poshita wasn't a promise. It was a contract. I asked myself, how could I break that contract? How could I make you so hurt that you no longer be capable of living a normal life? So damaged that you never be able to bounce back for as long as you live. Quite the challenge, isn't it? After all, you felt plenty of happiness even living in extreme poverty with Poshita, so I decided to begin with making you a lot happier. I gave you a job and money and fed you lots of delicious food. I provided a family that would get along with you. Aki became a good big brother to you and empower the bratty little sister. I'd make that level of happiness your new normal and then destroy the whole thing. Any happiness or normality you experience from this point on, I'll be the one to create it all and destroy it all. If you overcome your grief and make friends, I'll kill them immediately. If you get married and start a family, I won't allow your wife and children to live long. And then Denji's like, why would you do that? And because Makima basically tells him, because the time has come for you to atone for your sins. I looked into your past. Children's brains are quite incredible. You see, they can hide bad memories away behind the door without the child even knowing it. You hid what you did behind a door for survival's sake, right? Because you'd never be able to lead a normal life otherwise. Your father didn't kill himself. You killed him, didn't you? And basically we see like Denji go back in time basically to his memory about how he killed his father. And Makima explains, your father was drunk and nearly killed you. You really had no choice but to kill him. But the other grown-ups wouldn't get their money back like that, so they made it out to be a suicide. And tells Denji like, you were finally able to open the door. You helped me kill Power. There might have been a way to save Hayakawa, but you killed him too. You even murdered your own father. Someone like you has no right to wish for a normal life, do they? And then right then, Denji agrees with her, and Denji's just knocked the fuck out, basically like just dead inside, right? So this moment is the ultimate like pinnacle of Makima's manipulation. So in the scene, she talks about how like, because the time has atoned for your sins, she doesn't actually believe that. Like her whole plan is basically to get Poshita and basically like separate them. She even says that to break the contract that they have together so that she can control Poshita or whatever. But in the scene, she says like all this stuff to basically like rile Denji up, to basically like rev him up, and to basically like like put him at the lowest he is meant to, like put him like at the lowest he can possibly be, so that she can like basically like make it easier to control them, right? And so this scene is just basically her laying it all down on Denji, basically breaking him. She sent Aki as the gun fiend to basically like kill Aki, so that Denji would feel like he killed Aki and feel responsible. She just killed Power right in front of Denji, and basically made Denji open the door to basically like kill her, to basically like put that like guilt on Denji. And then also explains to Denji about his actual past, and explain that he is the one that killed his father, and basically like it's all your fault that everyone that you ever cared about in your life is dead and stuff like that. And this is like the pinnacle where when people be like Makima is evil, this is the scene where like Makima's like so evil, like so terrifying. Like everything she did in the show, like I said, the reason she wanted to do the things was to create a better world in her vision for humans, which is different from most devils, because most devils want to just kill humans and eat humans and stuff like that, but she kills humans with a greater purpose, even though she's still killing and hurting people. So like her purpose, or whatever she thinks that she's doing that's good, is null and void because of all the things she has to do to get there that's evil. And this is one of the scenes that really like incentivize that, like she will do anything and doesn't care who she has to hurt to get what she wants. And this is the pinnacle. It also just shows how patient she is. She was so patient. She literally worked with the Devil Hunter Club for so long just to get to the point to where she can find Poshita. And then when she found Poshita and figured out that she's gonna have to break a contract to basically get Poshita, did all this and just to get what she wanted. It's so crazy, so crazy. And so after this, right, Makima just like the next day, basically like, I think it's the next day, or maybe it's the same day, basically puts on her normal clothes and basically takes Denji with her outside, and they basically get to like the whole Devil Hunter HQ, and you see a bunch of the devils that Makima has like under her control, like the Violence Fiend that died, like Beam, like this like weird wasp devil, the spider devil and stuff like that. And basically saying like, and telling Denji like, all these devils are your followers. They and I had differences in fate, but they put their lives on the line and fought to protect you. Like basically like all these devils throughout the entire show basically was there to help you throughout the entire story. They all have been waiting for this day, the day of resurrection. Well, she was gonna say resurrection, but then she gets cut off by a freaking rocket launcher, and it's Kishibe and basically his anti-Makima squad, where basically they just are about to lay down the attack right now, where basically they send like a whole like SWAT team to basically like stop Makima, right? And they all come in there and they like shoot at Makima, basically lit her ass up, and they know that this is not gonna stop her, right? And so after they shoot her, a bunch of these other like members of the Devil Hunter Society basically like slice their neck and basically make a contract with the Hell Devil to basically kill Makima and cast her into hell. And then right when this happens, Makima immediately summons Poshita to come out. And I want you to know in this moment, she's not controlling Poshita at this moment at all, which we're going to learn later on. She just was able to summon the inner versions of Poshita because Denji inside is just gone. There's no more like, basically like their contract is basically kind of like messed up right now. And so it's no longer Denji control. It's like Poshita being able to come out. And so she summons basically the real like Chainsaw Man, the full Chainsaw Man Poshita, and basically like summons him to basically like to go fight the Hell Devil and basically to protect her. And basically like Chainsaw Man, the actual like Chainsaw Man Poshita basically stops the Hell Devil and like kills him and stuff like that. But right when he kills him, the Hell Devil basically like summons him into hell, and so the Chainsaw Man / Poshita gets like summoned into hell, right? And so while this is happening, Kishibe decides to get the drop on Makima, and basically is saying like, yo, like it's there to basically like stop Makima. And Makima is basically telling him like, you know, there's like no point in shooting me, right? I come back from all depths and stuff like that. And she explains, like, per my contract with the Prime Minister, attacks made on me will be changed into appropriate illnesses and accidents among Japanese citizens. And Kishibe's like, well, aren't you lucky? And then Makima's like, then why haven't you lowered your gun, even knowing that? And then Kishibe's like, how about yourself? Why do you look so calm? Your chainsaw devil was cast into hell. And then Makima says, I asked him to save me. Thus I believe he will return no matter what. And then Kishibe's like, what are you? Like, he doesn't know that she's like, what exactly she is at this point in time. He just knows that she's a devil. And then Makima says, me? I'm a fan of his. And then like Kishibe's like mad confused, like, a fan? And she like basically like she explains to Kishibe like who Chainsaw Man is, and that how like Chainsaw Man is basically like this like figure that devils and humans that everyone is afraid of, and that Chainsaw Man always rises up and like can never be like destroyed or defeated, and that people worship him. And basically like Makima explains to Kishibe why Chainsaw Man is so feared, and she basically explains the ability that any devil that Chainsaw Man eats, their names are erased from existence. And then Kishibe is like, there's no way that's possible. There's no way that can be like possible? And then Makima's like, you can't perceive it. That's only natural. You see, names that have been eaten are apparently erased from the past, the present, and even from individuals' memories. Even with my power to control over everything, I'm beginning to forget the names that are gone. And then Makima asks Kishibe, like, do you remember what the did to the Jews? And then Kishibe's like, these, which I'm probably gonna have to blur that out because it's YouTube. But then Makima goes into detail, basically explaining, like, you know, World War II, Arlen syndrome, SOA, AIDS, nuclear weapons, Mount Hero eruption. All of these once existed and were feared every bit as much as the devils with their names. But I'm the only one who remembers those names now because Chainsaw Man ate them all up. The sixth sense all humans used to have, the light of a particular star that would break children's minds. 4 possible conclusions other than death at the end of living beings' lifespans. They all cease to exist and I can't recall them. Yet even now I remember the sight of their devils fighting Chainsaw Man as clear as day. And then Kishibe is like, the scale of this is so big I can't wrap my head around it. So you're gonna use this power to turn the world to crap? And then Makima's like, do you really believe the Prime Minister of Japan would make a contract with such an evil devil? And Makima explains like her goal, basically her whole plan throughout the entire show to Kishibe. I have the power to control those I believe to be lesser than myself. If I fight Chainsaw Man and win, I should be able to control him. I want to use Chainsaw Man to create a better world. And Kishibe's like surprised by that, like saying like, what? You want to create like a better world? And Makima goes into more detail and saying, take for example, death, war, and hunger, which are the other 4 horsemen. There are many things in this world that humanity would be happier without. With Chainsaw Man's power, I'll blot them all out. And then Kishibe is like, quite the virtuous plan you seem to have there. Haven't considered you might lose and get eaten yourself? Makima said, that would be another dream come true for me. I told you, I'm a fan of his. To be eaten by Chainsaw Man and become part of him, there could be no greater honor. And as soon as she basically like finished talking, basically like Chainsaw Man Poshita comes back to like Earth and sees like Makima and is ready to like attack her. And Makima even like preps up and tells Kishibe like, yo, I'm about to be killed by the Chainsaw Man devil, but I'm still gonna try and resist. And then Chainsaw Man and Makima are about to fight, and then Makima basically gets one shot by Chainsaw Man, right? And Kishibe like looks at Chainsaw Man, and Chainsaw Man decides to just leave, like just decides to just dip, right? And so this is the moment where like Denji and Poshita basically have the whole moment where basically like they meet up at like the family burger, and they basically like Poshita gives Denji a date and remembers like how Denji always wanted to go on a date. And like basically like Poshita's trying to make like Denji happy, trying to do all the things that Denji wanted to do when he was in control, right? And so that's what Poshita's trying to do right now, because right now whenever Makima broke Denji's brain, Denji's basically like dead, like not like dead, but his brain is basically like nuked from learning all that information. So right now their contract is basically broken, so Poshita's like in control of them right now. And so Poshita is trying to basically like do all the things that Denji wanted to do, which is like go on a date and stuff like that. So Denji goes on a whole date with like Kobani and stuff like that, and at the end of the date, right, chill out, like he's basically like watching over like Kobani and like basically like trying to like a good date for Denji. And Makima basically like talks about how like they've been noticed by Chainsaw Man, and Chainsaw Man basically like turns around, and then Makima summons all these hybrids like Quan Chi, like hybrids like the flamethrower hybrid and stuff like that. And basically she tells them, which they're under like her control, and basically like tells them to like go fight Chainsaw Man and stuff like that, and even asking Chainsaw Man like does he remember them, because like he ate all their hybrids, like he ate all their devils, but yet the hybrids still exist. And so Makima's still trying to figure out like how they still exist and stuff like that, and basically like telling Poshita that like you're able to kill all devils, but for some reason they still exist and stuff like that, which we still don't know how these hybrids exist. But it's an interesting moment and talks and shows more about Makima's ability. So Makima's ability, like I said, is to control people, but her ability is not like so like broad, like super, not broad. What's the word? It's very broad. Her ability is very broad, but the word I'm thinking about is not very, it's not very blunt. That's the word. Like she doesn't control people like how a computer is controlled by code. She doesn't like put codes into a certain person's like that she's controlling and they do those things. Like she can't just be like, oh, she can't just be like, okay, let me explain it. I'm sorry, let me explain it, right? So when Makima puts you under her control, you're basically under her control, but you still have a personality, right? You're not your original self, but you still have a personality. So if she tells you go kill Chainsaw Man, she doesn't have to tell you like extreme and detailed directions on how to kill Chainsaw Man. Like she has control of you and basically controls your mind, but she's controlling your mind about what you want to do, and you're still you, right? You're still able to like, you still have all your abilities. That's why all the devils or people she controls still have their abilities, and they still can talk, they still have a personality. It's just that they are completely under the control of Makima, which makes her ability so strong, because she can take all these hybrids, which are either dead or alive, anybody, right? and then make them do her goals, and she doesn't even have to put a lot of effort in for them to do her goals. Like they can just do it, right? And so that's what makes her ability so powerful, because she doesn't even have to even be like watching them. Like she can just tell them what to do, and they're gonna do it to the best of their ability that they would do if they weren't under her control, if you get what I'm saying. That's why her ability is just so powerful, right? And so basically they have a whole little fight scene where basically like Poshita fights all of them and basically like cooks all of them, right? And so after he cooks all of them, he goes back to like watch Kobani at the date, right? And while this is happening, Makima actually like ambushes them, right? And tells them, including that death a few moments ago, I've been killed by you a total of 26 times now. So why isn't that you won't eat me? Is my body that unappetizing? And then Poshita gets ready to like fight like Makima again. And then Makima says, with this, it's settled, right? So she basically has a bunch of humans under control there, right? And she's about to basically like attack both of them, Kobani and Poshita. And basically Kobani's like, I have nothing to do with this. Like, why am I even here? And then Makima's like, oh, you have a great deal to do with this, Kobani. Your fear of Chainsaw Man has weakened, right? And as soon as she says that, Chainsaw Man, basically Poshita basically starts getting weaker. Like he starts breaking apart. And then Makima explains, I like humans in the same way that humans are so fond of dogs. They're loyal, easily handled, clever, and stupid, and just watching them is fun. And also they love me. Chainsaw Man, devil's fears gave you power. I have the humans eating that power right now. How does it feel to be eaten yourself? And basically she's explained that the reason the reason that Poshita is getting weaker right now is because like no one fears him anymore. Which in this situation, I think Makima is actually wrong, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. I might make a separate video about that, why Poshita got weaker in the scene. But basically, she's saying that she thinks that Poshita is getting weaker because there are less people afraid of him. And so Makima's goal right now is that she's going to use all those humans that she has under her control right now and basically like use their life force and give it to Angel to basically do a big giant like galaxy laser thing, right? And so she's doing that so that she can like basically like hit Kobani with it, and she knows that Poshita is going to protect Kobani. And so Poshita basically goes to protect Kobani and basically gets knocked out, and Makima gets like instantly disappointed that the fight was over like that. And she thinks the whole fight is over and she's ready to go pick up like basically like Poshita's heart. But then right when that happens, Power gets basically like revived from the dead by basically like Poshita. Because remember, I didn't talk about in this video, but there's a point in time where Denji like took a bit of Power's blood. Poshita decides to give some of his blood to Power that's in Denji's body and basically like revives Power, and even revives her into like this strong devil form, and basically like revives her so that Power can protect Denji that's inside of Poshita. And so like Power's trying to stop Makima, like throws all these like blood blades at her, and it's like slowly like slowing her down. But then like Power summons the zombie devil to like basically like fight Power, and basically Power's getting jumped. And basically Makima's like telling like Power like, why are you alive? How are you alive after I killed you? And it's like telling her to answer the question, but Power is like not answering the question, but also is like terrified of Makima. And then Makima's like asking Power like, yo Power, be a good girl and like hand over Chainsaw Man, because Power like has Chainsaw Man in her hands. And she's like, do it and I won't kill you again, and I'll let you be my pet again. And Power's just so afraid of Makima that she like starts to do it. Like she actually like picks up Chainsaw Man and like it starts like to hand Chainsaw Man to Makima. And then like right when she's about to do that, she actually gets flashbacks of all the good times they had together and decides to actually like change her mind and actually like shoots like all these like blood weapons at Makima and starts to run away. And she like is wondering like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I like disobeying Makima's orders? And she realizes like, oh, it's because Denji's like my first friend, and I just can't do that. And then we have a moment where Denji and Power are basically like inside a trash can, and basically like Power's like talking to Denji and telling him like, I'm here to save you. And Denji's basically like venting to Power about like, oh, I lived a good life and I don't deserve to live after everything I did to everybody, and like it's all my fault. And then Power's basically like telling him like, you're dumb, like don't say that. There's still many things you need to do in your life, and like it's okay about everything that happened. And that she's basically explaining to him, like basically like giving him a new motivation, basically saying like, when devils die in this world, they were born in hell, and I want you to find me, because right now I'm about to give you all my blood. I'm gonna make it to where you can survive, and I want you to be able to like live on. It's basically saying like, when this happens, I want you to try and find me, and it might be as enemies because I won't remember you, but I want you to make me remember. I want you to basically like make me friends with you again, and I want us to be together again. And she's like, I'm gonna give you my blood, and it's gonna be a contract, and I just want you to come find me. And so right after this, Power gives Denji all of her blood, and basically like Denji's basically like brought back, like basically fully brought back, not in the Chainsaw Man form, and still has Poshita inside of him and stuff like that. And it's a sad moment because basically like Power had to basically like give up herself to basically like save Denji just so that they can stop Makima. And right when this happens, right when Denji like basically like wakes up, he turns to his right and he sees like Kishibe is right there. And Kishibe is like asking Denji like, "Are you Denji or are you that Chainsaw Man monster? And if you're Denji, I'll help you like I'll save you from Makima. Basically, I'll set you free from Makima. I'll hide you away and stuff like that. But if you want to keep being a monster, you can keep living in a dumpster." And then Denji basically decides to like, okay, I'm gonna work with Kishibe and I'm gonna hide from Makima and stuff like that. And even like they save Kobani and they're basically like all like in a bunker, basically trying to like be safe from Makima, basically like to hide from Makima. And Kishibe has like no way to like figure out how to defeat Makima at this point. Like he has no idea, and so he's just basically telling Denji, "Don't transform to Chainsaw Man, and we're just gonna hide until we figure out a plan." And Denji actually like wants to like still be Chainsaw Man because he actually like sees like a whole like news broadcast where basically they start like glazing Chainsaw Man, being like, "Oh my god, Chainsaw Man's our savior," and like girls saying like, "Chainsaw Man, go out with me," and stuff like that. And Denji still wants to be Chainsaw Man and figures out that like, dang, if I want to be Chainsaw Man, I have to kill Miss Makima. How can I do that? And he starts thinking about everything from their past. Like he says, like, in all the time I spent watching her and talking to her, there's gotta be something that fell off. And then there's a scene where we see that Makima shows like her nose from, remember, the very like beginning chapters. So keep this into mind because this is such a good callback, right? And so Denji's like thinking about everything. And he's like, dang, I'm so dumb. I can't figure out anything. And then he figures out a plan and he's like, I'm the worst. And like, even after what she did to me, I still like Miss Makima, but he's able to come up with a plan, right? And so he goes off somewhere and transforms into Chainsaw Man. And as soon as he transforms into Chainsaw Man, Makima slowly approaches him. And basically Makima's like, why do you look like that? Basically saying like, why do you look like normal Chainsaw Man? Like, did you come here just to die? And then Denji says, Miss Makima, in this ultra awesome perfect world you're gonna make, will there still be crappy movies? And as soon as Makima hears that, she's like very surprised. And she's like, why have you turned back into Denji? And then Makima's like basically like answers Denji's question, where she says, personally, I believe the world would be better if bad movies ceased to exist. And Denji's like, I guess I gotta kill you after all then. And then Makima's like, this appearance of yours and the things you say are unworthy of Chainsaw Man. I find you disagreeable. Basically, she confesses about how like basically throughout the entire story, she found Denji basically despicable. Like, doesn't care about him, doesn't care about that form. It's all nasty to her and stuff like that. And so right after this, they actually go into a big, really cool fight, which I'm not gonna go into super detail about. Super cool, but like you should read the chapter and stuff like that. It's a really cool fight, right? And so there's a part where like basically like Makima like jumps Denji and gets a drop on him. And then she decides, like, instead of like letting Denji get like killed by the easiest way possible, she decides to actually like kill Denji herself. And so she actually gives Denji some of her blood, and basically like Denji like wakes back up and instantly like hits her and basically cuts off her head. And as soon as like Makima's head gets cut off, one of Makima's like people in the back basically like gets substituted for her, because remember her ability to basically like come back from death. And so they're just like exchanging blows, just like boom, just boom, like just beating the shit out of each other, just exchanging blows, getting cut, getting ripped apart. It's a really cool fight. Like, I really can't wait until this gets animated, because it's gonna be so brutal and cool. But then eventually Makima ends up getting the drop on Denji and ends up like actually like ripping Denji's heart out actually, and takes out the Kushida heart. And she says, it was unavoidable that you lose to my bare hands. You are Chainsaw Man after all. How can I get you to give up on this world, Denji? What do I need you to do for you to turn back into the Chainsaw Man form? Like, she just wants him to turn back into the original Chainsaw Man form, the one we saw earlier, not this Denji form. And she can't really do anything unless Denji turns back into that form. She says, Chainsaw Man doesn't wear clothing and doesn't talk. Every action he takes should be chaotic. And yet, despite not getting him at all, you were chosen by Chainsaw Man. If you're going to get in our way, then die. And she fully rips out Denji's heart fully. And basically, like, at this moment, we believe that Denji's dead. And then, like, Makima has Pushida's heart. And she even, like, tells Pushida, like, I've beaten you twice, Chainsaw Man. You belong to me now. We'll be together forever. Let's eat a lot together, sleep together, and have a happy life together. She basically, like, talks to Pushida like a dog, right? And there's a moment I'm going to talk about. Actually, do I want to talk about it right now? So, there's one moment in this thing that we're going to talk about more. But just remember, there's this one thing I'm going to talk about later on in this, like, of like literally like a few minutes from now. But remember this statement that Makima says. Chainsaw Man doesn't wear clothing and doesn't talk. Every action he takes should be chaotic. And yet, despite not getting him at all, you were chosen by Chainsaw Man. Remember that statement for later on, because I'm going to bring it up, like, a little later, right? So after, like, Makima wins the battle and has Pushida, like, in her heart, we actually see a figure behind her start walking up towards her that's wearing a suit, right? And Makima's like very surprised, and she turns around and gets hit with Denji. It's Denji, right? And Denji like literally like slices her in half with a chainsaw. And Makima's like super surprised, like caught so off guard by this, like super surprised. And then Denji's like, "You finally let your guard down. I'll be taking back Poshita now, thanks." And like basically like picks up Poshita and basically like puts it back inside of him. And then Denji's like, "Man, talk about a close one. I wound up using every last drop of blood power gave me." And then Makima's like, "How are you?" And then Denji explains that Denji you were fighting the whole time, that was a Poshita I tore off of my heart. I vaguely remember being able to fight like that. And then Makima's like looking at her wound, and her wound's like not like healing or anything. And then Denji's like, "Your wound is healing slow, right? That's because I made that chainsaw from Power's blood. I'm making it run amok inside you." And then Makima's like, "This is hardly enough to like kill her." And then Denji's like, "That's my goal. Like, I don't expect a cheap trick like this to kill you." And then like, as soon as that happens, Kishibe like shows up in a van, and like Denji's like, "I'm sorry about this, Makima." Basically, right after this, it cuts away to basically Kishibe talking to Denji about how like, "I don't know if this plan's gonna work, if it's really gonna kill Makima, but I'm like hoping it does. And don't die, Denji. Out of all the devil hunters, you're the only one that can do this." And we basically see like Denji start to grab like a bunch of like boxes out of his fridge, like bento boxes and stuff like that, and basically like starts cooking it up and has a bunch of meat in it, and basically talks about, I'm gonna say the whole thing because this is a really like nice speech. And this is what Denji says: "You know, Miss Makima, even after everything I've been through, I still love you from the bottom of my heart. But the people who died aren't gonna forgive all the stuff you did. That's why like I'll bear your sins with you." I was like, "But how do I do that? Do I strap a bomb and blow us up together? From what I'm told, physical attacks won't work." "Oh, so attacks won't work." Then it hit me like, "Eureka, I'm a genius. All I gotta do is become one with you." And it shows like all the basically like food, rice, and all the meat. And basically says like he basically like starts to eat the miso soup and stuff like that, and then starts eating all the food. And then he says, "So this is how you taste, Miss Makima." So like once again, Denji learns about how like his ability is that he's able to like eat people, or Poshita's ability is that he's able to eat people or eat devils and basically like erase them. And so his plan is to basically like eat Makima. Like this is the only way that he can like really kill her, because of the whole deal with the prime minister, any death that happens to Makima, like any like physical attack death, mental death that happens to Makima, gets reflected onto another person, but not getting eaten, not like being consumed by Poshita. And so that was the plan, right? Or Poshita / Denji. So that's basically the plan that Denji came up with, and it actually like kind of works, right? And so Denji and Kishibe meet up after everything that happened. And Denji tells like Kishibe about how he ate it all, and Miss Makima didn't revive from my stomach or from the crapper either, and stuff like that. And Kishibe says, "Attacks don't work against Makima. How were you able to kill someone untouchable?" And then Denji says this: "I'm not out to hurt Miss Makima after all. Those are my honest feelings. I ate her to become one with her. That's not an attack, it's love." And then Kishibe says, "Your plan probably happened to work by chance, either due to the specific terms of the contract or as a matter of perception. But I'm more interested in the explanation for something else. How is it that you were able to get the drop on Makima with that attack? Given what she's capable of, wouldn't she notice you right away?" And Denji informs Kishibe about his plan. "I had this hunch based on all the conversations we had, the intel on enemies and all that. The thing about Miss Makima is she perceives us via scent." So remember that from the very like first chapter where she talks about how she can smell the scent between Denji and Poshita and stuff like that, and how like she perceives people through scent. She doesn't perceive people by really their looks or their appearance. She perceives them by their scent. She doesn't actually remember individual faces. She only remembers the scents of people she has interest in. So I made a gamble. I bet that the whole time Miss Makima had only been looking at Chainsaw Man, not me. That she never saw me even once from the start." And it's so sad because it just affirms that the entire time Makima was talking to Denji, anytime she was like interacting with Denji, even that moment that I talked about with the whole lollipop, that whole moment was only so that Makima can get closer to Denji, so that she can get Poshita, so that she can get Chainsaw Man and stuff like that. And she never once looked at Denji as Denji. She only looked at him as a step to get Poshita, and was only focused on Poshita's scent, which is crazy because, you know, she even talks about at the very beginning that she can distinguish the two smells, the two like scents, the human scent and the devil scent. So that means ever since that moment, ever since after that, she never paid attention to Denji's scent and only paid attention to Poshita's scent. which is very, very sad and definitely like a big mind-boggling thing for Denji to go through, and definitely like would hurt my heart. That's especially hurts my heart when you have love for a person, or you're in love with a person, and then you find out the entire time they were never actually looking at you. They were looking at what they can get from you, the person inside of you, the person like your money, your financial, your status. And it's just very sad that like that basically what Makima was only looking at Denji for, and never looked at him in that way. And that's probably how Denji takes it. And right after this, right, randomly Denji ends up getting bit by like a person, like it's a little child, and he immediately thinks it's Miss Makima because it's the same type of bite that Makima did, and it's a little girl. And Kishibe says that kid was discovered in China. I nicked her. She isn't Makima anymore. She's the control devil. So Makima basically died from like Denji eating her, but she wasn't erased throughout history or erased at all. And I think that's because it wasn't like Poshita himself eating her, it was Denji. And I'm assuming like Denji doing that was able to like basically like kill Makima, and it didn't like affect the basically the contract that Makima made with the prime minister, but it didn't kill her, and all it did was just basically like reincarnate her. So I'm assuming like what happened was that when Makima got killed, she basically got sent to hell, and then basically died in hell, and then basically got sent to Earth and was basically like in China and stuff like that. And then that's how Kishibe find her. And then Kishibe says Makima is dead. The new control devil shouldn't have her memories or anything else. That said, if we leave her with the government and let them raise her, odds are she'll turn out like Makima again. And then she's like, seriously, I don't want to eat any more meat for a long while. And then Kishibe's like, yep, that's why I'm going to entrust her to you. And as soon as Denji hears that, he's like, nah, bro, like, I can't, like, I don't want to do that. And Kishibe's like, I'm about to get busy, and I figured leaving her in your care would be the best course of action. And then Denji looks at Nayata, and as soon as, like, Nayata says doggy, as soon as like she says that, Denji's like, nah, bro, I'm not doing this. And then Kishibe just disappears, right? Kishibe just disappears, just leaves her with Denji. Like, Denji has no choice, right? And so Denji's like, little girl, what's your name? And then the girl says it's Nayata. And then Denji's like, Nayata, is there anything you want to eat other than meat? And then Nayata says sliced bread. And then Denji's actually happy because, and he basically says like that she's pretty inexpensive. And they basically have a really like cute moment. This is basically like the end of part 1. And basically I'm gonna lead into more of my conclusions and stuff I want to talk about. There's a scene, right, where basically like they're having a little fun. They're basically like walking around, walking with dogs, and then sleeping and stuff like that. And then we actually get to see Denji talk to Poshita. And Poshita is there, and Denji actually gets to hug Poshita, and it's been a long time since he's hugged Poshita. And then Poshita informs Denji. He says, Denji, my dream was to have someone hug me. Sounds easy, right? Except I'm too strong, so it was actually really hard. But you made my dream come true. Denji, I want you to grant the control devil's dreams too. The control devil, she always wanted to form equal relationships with others. She could only form relationships through the power of fear, so she always longed for something like a family. That's the kind of world she wanted to create, even if she went about it the wrong way. So you create that world for her, okay? And Denji's like, Poshita, how do I do that? And then Poshita says, you give her lots of hugs. And that's basically the end of part 1. After that, we get a whole moment where Denji has like a last moment with like a devil or whatever. But that's the end of Makima's story, basically the end of part 1, where it ends with Denji giving Nayata a bunch of hugs and basically like has a new goal and motivation, which is his goal is to basically be the best big brother he can be, basically the best like person he can be for Nayata, and basically becomes like her older brother. And so there are some things I want to talk about, right? So remember when I said, when I was talking about, these are basically the last things I want to talk about before I end the video. I basically talked about everything I could in detail, about everything about Makima throughout every single arc, her backstory and stuff like that. But these are the last things I'm going to leave you off with, the last 2 things I want to talk about for this video, right? And so with the whole thing, remember when I said a few like pages ago, when I said what Makima said, when Makima said, Chainsaw Man doesn't wear clothing, it doesn't talk. Every action he takes should be chaotic. And yet, despite not getting him at all, you were chosen by Chainsaw Man. If you're going to get in our way, then die, right? So Makima claims that Poshita's whole goal or whole like existence is, his existence is only that of a person that should be chaotic or cause chaos or cause destruction in the way that they're supposed to be like a natural disaster, if you get what I'm saying. Like basically like a natural cause of the world, and as natural as something as death is, even though to Makima, she doesn't view death as natural, and that's why she wants to kill the death devil and stuff like that, to make death not natural, or to make it not normal and stuff like that, and basically make the world better anyway. But she basically like claims what Chainsaw Man is supposed to be, and that's what she views Chainsaw Man as, which was very interesting to me, and was upset about how Denji was, and how like wondering like, why would Chainsaw Man even make a contract with a loser like you, or make a contract with someone like you? Like he should be someone chaotic. And never, like she never truly understood Chainsaw Man or understood Poshida's actual feelings. And at the end of the story, we really get to see Poshida's feelings because Poshida like tells the truth to Denji what Poshida wanted all along. Like Poshida was always strong and always able to do things. And when he first met Denji, that was the first person that actually like treated him like a person, like actually was nice to him. Like remember like Poshida was like just after his fight like with the whole like nuclear weapons devil and the four horsemen, Poshida managed to escape to Earth and basically was like in a weakened state. Like the state we see him in is like his weakened state, right? Was caught by Denji, where Denji like saw him and Denji was like scared of him, some of that, and saw that Poshida was like bleeding, going to die. And so Denji decided to give Poshida some of his blood so that Poshida would survive. And after that, Poshida and Denji basically became like best friends. And so ever since that moment, that was the first person to both Denji and Poshida that actually treated them nice. Like Poshida was actually the first person in his life that was nice to him, that helped him, that was the main reason that even Denji was able to get as far as he was in the story. And it's even crazy because in part 1 we actually see like in chapter 1 that Denji actually had a heart condition just like his mom did, and that's how his mom died, and was even suffering from that heart condition. And so if Denji and Poshida never bonded together or became one, then Denji would have like died like shortly thereafter, because it looked like he was already getting affected by that heart disease. Poshida in this scene at the end is basically explaining to him like, yo, my dream was to have someone hug me, like, and so basically telling Denji like, it sounds easy, but when you're super strong like me, it was actually really hard, but you made my dream come true. And like basically saying like, because of you, I was able to have my dream and I was able to become truly happy. And so he tells Denji like, yo, I want you to do that for the Control Devil. And basically said the Control Devil, she always wanted to form equal relationships with others. Like she could only form relationships through the power of fear, so she always longed for something like a family. That's the kind of world she wanted to create, even if she went about it the wrong way. So I want you to create that world for her. I want you to be that person for her, that person in her life that can make her happy, that can treat her like an actual person, and be there for her. Because we even learned at the end of this chapter that Makima was basically raised by the Japanese government. And so that explains why she even has these beliefs. Like why she even like, I want to say raised, but like, so basically after the whole fight with like Poshida in hell, she basically like went to like Japan and basically a member was looking for Poshida and stuff like that, and basically became part of the Devil Hunter Society. And I'm assuming like that's when like basically like she learned more about how the world works and how that's where basically like she figured out what she wanted to do with the world, like how she would view the world and how she want the world to be and stuff like that. And so Poshida's basically talking to Denji about how like, yo, like I want you to be there for her and be able to like stop her from basically like wanting to do that again, and basically be the like a person in her life that's not friends with her to use her, because basically everyone in the Japanese government was friends with her to use her because of her abilities and how strong she was. She didn't never had an actual like good relationship or an actual friendship with anybody. That's why not having friendships with people like that and constantly everyone using you as a weapon, or her even using other people for her own goals, it basically kept on putting into her head that the only way you can get control or get what you want is through control and power and stuff like that. And that's why her whole twisted sense of morality, and but I think her being with the whole like government and stuff like that, the Japanese government and stuff like that, like twisted more of her reality to where like what she wanted to do wasn't bad, but how she got to it is what made it bad, and all the things she did to basically accomplish her goals what made her goals bad, if you get what I'm saying. Like made her more and more twisted. Like her goal to basically like get Poshida and basically like control the world wasn't necessarily evil, but how she did it, how she killed all those people, manipulated all those people, controlled all those people, and then her even like being praised by the Japanese government or other people, and basically everyone being afraid of her, and her never having a normal relationship, basically twisted more of her morality and more of her thoughts and more of what she believed makes a good world. And I think is one of the main reasons that she ended up the way she did. And that's what I think Poshida was basically trying to tell Denji in this moment, and saying that the way that you can stop that is by basically giving her lots of hugs, giving her love, being the older brother that you can be, being basically the Aki to her, like basically like doing what Aki did to Denji. And it's such a good moment. Like this moment, this is the last time I'm gonna leave the video off with, right? Last statement about Makima, right? That Makima is a very terrifying character in this entire show. She's one of the best characters in the show because of how terrifying she is and how Fujimoto really builds up to the reveal about her being the control level, but also giving good hints, also giving you like questions, making you constantly question. Like you never just knew anything about Makima throughout this entire story until the very end. And when you go back to reread all of Chainsaw Man with all this information, it just gives you so much context, and it's so good. It's just like, wow, this is such a complex character. Like, this character's so complex. I've been recording for like 2 hours and 20 minutes. So I've been talking for a while about Makima, but like, there's just so much here about her character. And when you make it to the end of Chainsaw Man, it makes you want to instantly reread it, not only because of like Denji and all the characters and all the moments and all the fights, but I want to reread it because you get to see all the signs that were shown about Makima and how like everything they say about her later on, you're just like, wow, that makes so much sense. How didn't I see that? And when you go back, you notice like all these like small things. Like you notice like, wow, Makima never looked at Denji that way. Denji, like Makima only saw people through sin. Like Makima was using everybody she ever did. And all those times she blindfolded people was because she was taking control, like basically like using her ability, but then basically like making it look like she was using contracts. Like Makima, I think, did a really good job at blending in with society, but then as you saw as the story goes on, she just gives less of a fuck about showing her like hiding her abilities because she's getting closer and closer to realizing her goal. And as soon as she realized her goal, she just basically like dropped the facade and basically like did like used all of her abilities and did everything. Like, it's just so good. I just think Makima is such a good character and a really terrifying character throughout this entire story, but she's also like not like just a brain dead evil character. Like, she's very complex. As I hope this video shows like how complex and how deep a conversation you can have really about Makima throughout the entire story. But she's just such a layered character, and this is, I hope I explained everything in detail, but this is why I think Makima is one of the most terrifying characters in anime, and one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite villains, very antagonist in anime, because she's just so multi-layered. And just, I haven't seen a character in a while since like Aizen and Bleach put the fear of God of every single character she talks to, and to also be like very like manipulative, but also like being also layered and sensitive and having feelings. Like, remember that time that she was crying at the movie theater? Like, she has feelings. And remember that time she busted out laughing whenever Denji was like talking to her, being like, yo, like, what's like, why did you do that to Power? What's going on? Like, she's very multi-layered, and you can talk about anything I said in this video for a whole hour explaining like her exact like thought process behind everything. But I think that's everything I wanted to say for this video. This video is very long. It's a very, very long video. I don't know how long it's going to take me to edit this. I don't know how long it's going to take me to edit, but I'm very, very proud of this video. I think I explained everything I wanted to in detail. I could have done things, some things better, especially with my stuttering, because I stutter so much. I'm going to edit all of that out, but hopefully everything I said made sense and was coherent. And I hope you were able to understand how I feel about Makima. And I would love to hear what you think about Makima in the comment section down below. You can drop an essay, you could drop a sentence, you could drop a word. I will read it. I do not care. I would love to hear your thoughts on it. And what do you think about Makima in her totality? And leave a like, subscribe to me for more content like this, and hit that bell button, post it consistently. And I'm going to see you guys next time. Peace.